The following program is for adult audiences only.
You get lost in your imperfections. You get lost in the things you want. But if you slow down for just 1 second, you might feel way better than you thought. And if you took a second to breathe, took a minute to cry, or maybe you would see that all this time I've been right here. Baby, I know it, life can get hard, keep going. I just wanna be the one you need right now. Baby, would you turn and look at me right now? Me right now. What's going on? You can tell me everything that's going wrong. Only say the word will disappear somehow. All we gotta do is be right here, right now. Right now. Maybe we could go and find a view if we need some entertainment. But we don't have to hurry, cause our conversation's always entertaining. And if you just want me to listen, I can do that too. Because all that I can do for you, I'll do. Oh yeah, baby, I know it. Life can get hard, keep going. I just wanna be the one you need right now. Baby, would you turn and look at me right now? Me right now. What's going on? You can tell me everything that's going wrong. Only say the word will disappear somehow. All we gotta do is be right here, right now. Right now. Baby, I know it. Life can get hard, keep going. I just wanna be the one you need right now. Baby, would you turn and look at me right now? Me right now. What's going on? You can tell me everything that's going wrong. Only say the word will disappear somehow. All we gotta do is be right here, right now. Right now.
You told me more than once to show you my intention. My brain gets blocked at times, but now somehow I'll give you my attention. You've got to know that I ain't a person who understands all the clockwork of our romance. You make me feel so alive, always there in my mind. But I just don't know, if I'll dance with the lights on. If you're gonna be moving on solo, wait a second, cause they're playing the best song. I'll be there if you reach out to me. Reach out to me. Reach out to me. I'm a rolling stone tonight, never to be settled. Though I know I can't deny your eyes, I've got this inner battle. I don't know how to act. I searching for the truth somewhere else when I just want you. There was a void in my soul. Now I found my true home. But I just don't know if I'll dance with the lights on. If you're gonna be moving on solo, wait a second, cause they're playing the best song. I'll be there if you reach out to me. Reach out to me. Reach out to me.
It's time for the Mixin and Chillin vlog. Even if they implemented some ridiculous laws, this is something that if somebody truly wants to do this, they can still do it. But it's going to take a lot of effort on the vapors' part to actually learn what it takes to make your own stuff. I don't know what the heck happened to the last hour of my life, but it certainly wasn't streamed on YouTube like I thought it was. Restrictive policies block progress towards smoke-free world. Many people incorrectly think that very little nicotine content cigarettes are less carcinogenic than current cigarettes. This risk misperception by people who smoke could reduce motivation to quit under a nicotine reduction policy.
That's a bit of a problem. Someone who specialises in helping people kick the habit is Dr. Colin Mendelsohn. He joins me now.
Look, vaping is a far less harmful alternative to smoking for adult smokers who just can't quit, and that's actually the majority of them.
The road to quitting smoking is paved with candy. Double chocolate clear from TFA. Published in the Vaping Post, we have long-term study. Vaping increases odds of quitting heavy smoking. This is Kenny Thompson, the Vaping Heed. He's got a YouTube channel. He's been on here a lot longer than I have. I'm not going to stop until this is legal and available for everyone. You know, I cover things from all around the globe, but that's because science has no boundaries.
I mean, you know, the FDA and everything would know that vaping is safer than smoking, but we'll have the pressure off the tobacco companies or the states that are on the MSA and all that. It's just a financial thing, and it's, unfortunately that takes precedence against everything. And
All of the things we went through. You just made my day. Just made my day. You made my day. You made my day.
Grab your juice, grab your vape. It's time to get this party started.
It's time for the Mixin and Chillin vlog.
Long-term study.
vaping is safer than smoking.
Smoke-free world. Hello, and welcome everybody. Another fantastic Tuesday. Hope you guys are all doing wonderful.
Yep.
Kenny and I were just sitting here watching the E-Cig Summit that's going on right now. Matter of fact, I got done finally getting Clive Bates's presentation, and he's always so fantastic. And the reason we're going to talk about this one today is because he's the one that most closely aligns with my perspective on how we can make this whole situation better for public health, and how tobacco harm reduction has such a massive potential to save people's lives, but it's not being utilized to its full potential. And he's not afraid to sit there and point fingers at somebody that is responsible for THR not to reach its full potential. Matter of fact, I actually move beyond what he says and have no problems, actually taking it to the next level. But we'll get to that when we actually go and watch his presentation, and we're going to stop along the way and we're going to discuss things because I want to get everybody else's perspective on it. I don't want this to just be my perspective on it or Kenny's perspective on it. We need to have a conversation. Furthering the conversation is going to get the knowledge out there to everybody and might actually get some of you to become more passionately involved in advocacy, because it isn't just, are you going to be able to get these products? Are you going to be able to stay off of cigarettes because of vaping? We have literally the potential to save hundreds of thousands of lives if this was more broadly accepted and moved into the mainstream, and this indigenous focus on just the youth went to where it belongs. I'm not saying they need to stop, telling youth to not use these products, but at what point can you morally justify the fact that they keep focusing on kids that might someday have a problem because of picking up vaping, while the whole time they're watching in the United States, 480,000 Americans dying? And it isn't just in the United States, it's in the UK and Australia, all over the globe. Smokers, half of them, after a lifelong smoking habit, are going to die from their smoking. It doesn't need to be that way. We can completely enjoy our nicotine and not die from it.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree, sir.
So today's more along, not just me jumping on the soapbox, but I wanted you guys to see another person's perspective on the thing. And like I said, Clive is the one that, I can relate to the most. So that's up for today. We also have listed under Kenny there, the Silver Play RTA we talked about last week. We're going to get to that, get that opened up and unboxed and compare it to the Nautilus and see which one of the two is actually better.
That's going to be a toughie.
Nice little retro vape there. The Nautilus wouldn't have been enough for me to quit smoking, but I have to respect it for what it is. The number of people that were able to quit smoking because of that Nautilus decade ago is astronomical.
That was
one of the first ones to come out.
Yep, that was the boy. The Nautilus is still out today, still cracking coils and all that stuff. Brilliant.
Unbelievable. How good it is.
Stood the test of time. It stood the test of time, you know what I mean? Absolutely awesome, my man.
And you can still buy it.
Yep.
That's the best part. It's still for sale.
Still going today.
I don't know, if it's available from Aspire directly or whether it's just, because it was so good, every single vape shop that was in existence had to buy one in case somebody came in and asked for it.
Also, the beauty of it is whatever device you got that took the Nautilus coils, you can still get the Nautilus coils today for whatever device. Still for sale.
And you can get the old ones and the new ones.
Yeah. Yep. Every vape shop still stocks Nautilus. Everyone. They're so good, and the work, they're proven. We've got a track record, so.
And they're stainless steel, and it's impossible to destroy the thing. I mean, short of breaking the glass, but because it's so present all around the world, the glass is still available to be replaced.
Definitely, brilliant, man.
So that's up for today.
Fantastic thing.
So how are you guys doing out there?
Yep.
Should we jump into the gutter momentarily before we get on to some actual science? Because the first person here today was Mallory Gates.
Oh.
Hey, Kenny and Hunky Vape. Another wonderful Tuesday is upon us. So give me some tacos or some ties.
Some ties. I've got plenty of ties.
Awesome sauce. I also want to say hello and thank you and welcome to all of you that have joined the stream. Sean Lynch, Dusty Country Road, Mrs. Hunky Vape, the Vaping Heed, Sunday afternoon vape show, and obviously Mallory Gates that we talked about. Wonderful to have all you guys here for our live stream. I debated whether or not to, postpone today's thing or reschedule it for a different time, but quite honestly, I can go back to the E-Cigarette Summit and watch the videos after they've gone there. And there's only about half a dozen of us advocates, consumer advocates, that actually attend this thing. And it's not like, I'm really missing out on a whole lot of the chat that goes on because we all pretty much feel the same way about it. And it's not like the other attendees that are there that have differing viewpoints actually get onto the chat to discuss things. So I think this is a little more important for this to go out there on its regular schedule.
Definitely.
And like I said, it gives us the opportunity to discuss things.
Of course. I thought I had some sauce on my mouth then. Sorry, guys. I was eating sausage rolls before we came on here.
Kenny's a little self-conscious today.
I thought I had tomato sauce on my face.
Nah, nothing to worry about there, mate. We're one big family. We're one big family here, so if you happen to have something there, we would have told you about it.
Right on. After an hour. By the way, Ken, you've got some sauce on your chin.
Nah.
I love it. Love it.
Free Ride Vapor, hello and welcome. William Dobson, hello and welcome. And Pam Spraggins, hello and welcome.
Welcome to you all. How you doing?
I love having that printer here because I can guarantee that I'm not going to miss anybody as long as everything's working properly. Which, knock on wood, after all the updates I did this week, everything seems to be working fantastic today.
Well, don't jinx it. Let's just go with the flow. Just go.
Listen, I want to jinx it. I want somebody to, that's the thing. I need to get back to enabling that dock so you can sit there and do things on the stream besides just pop chat up. Because once everything's working 100%, we're coming out of beta. We're going to have a regular schedule, and we can actually increase the number of shows that we do.
Oh, coming out of beta.
Ken was actually talking about getting dressed up into a tuxedo if this ever happens.
Yeah. Like I say, we'll
not have to create a new set where we actually have a news desk instead of a DJ booth. The potential's there, my friends.
It'll be CBN News. Hi, who's going to be the anchor man?
It's a co-host, co-anchor. That's the way the news is. There is no primary dominant person.
I won't.
Vapor Queen Becky, hello and welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I'm easy going, mate. You know me.
We both are.
Exactly.
We're just a couple of blokes out here talking about the thing that actually got us to quit smoking.
Exactly, my friend. Exactly.
And that boils down to.
And it's still keeping us off the stinkies as well. It's still stopping us from going back to smoking. So got to look at that side of it as well. What I mean?
Sunday afternoon vape show says that they went to the expo over the weekend and loved it.
It was on over this weekend. Yeah, the expo was in Birmingham and here in the UK the weekend. And I've thought on many occasions about going to, but that's just my cup of tea. It just seems like you get a lot of reviewers who just go down for one big piss up, really.
Actually, I haven't even had a chance. I've been so busy, doing work in the background and doing, actual work to make money. And then I've even fell behind on cutting the grass because I've ran out of time so much this past week.
Wow.
But it is what it is. We'll get caught up.
Yeah,
it's not going anywhere.
The expo, I think it was last year that everybody was a bit disappointed with it because it was all disposables and all that kind of stuff. And they were a bit disappointed with the show, like who showed up and who didn't show up. But I haven't really caught up on a lot of any of the videos of this year's expo, but I don't know if it's been a positive or a negative type of experience this year or not. I don't know. So I'm sure Mank there might be able to enlighten us if it was any good.
Well, actually, that is a wonderful segue to jump over to the coverage from the E-Cig Summit, because I actually have two videos there. Clive Bates is one, but I also have the introductory video that was done by ECigIntelligence. And they're the ones that gather data from all around the globe, from whatever sources they can get their hands on. Like Casa, when CASA asks you as a consumer to go and fill out the survey for what you use and how much you use and how much you vape and all that other stuff, all that data goes to ECigIntelligence, who aggregates all the data from around the globe and determines, what's getting bigger, what's getting smaller, how is the behavior changing. And quite honestly, the expo is accurately reflecting the actual usage around the globe. So let's jump over to that. And we're going to end discussing this result here in Vermont and the poor results. This is even going to be even more beneficial to talk about after we get done talking about Clive Bates. So keeping along lines with our data that I was telling you guys about, Tim Phillips is the managing director for ECigIntelligence. And he gave a presentation where he talks about the actual data of what products are being used where. Like here in the United States, we don't have any heat not burn because there was a lawsuit filed, a copyright patent infringement filed by Big Tobacco against Big Tobacco for their heat not burn products. So here in the United States, there are no heat not burn products. I almost had an opportunity when we were on vacation to purchase one in Virginia before they actually removed all the products from the shelves. But in the rest of the world, heat not burn is a big, big product. My son's over in Japan. He's got heat not burn available in every convenience store and grocery store that sells cigarettes. And
something I've never tried. A
lot of people have transitioned away from combustible cigarettes to heat not burn to improve their health outcomes. Because you got to follow the science. And the science says that they're less harmful. Not as less harmful as vaping, but harm reduction is harm reduction. You take what you can get. And I think that everybody that is smoking combustible cigarettes should be encouraged to move down the continuum of risk scale to healthier products.
Definitely. No doubt.
All right. Got to stop the music that's playing in the background because, quite honestly, it doesn't need to be here. All right, so take a look at the thing. Latin America has hardly any of these harm reduction products being utilized because they took draconian measures right off the bat. In Europe, heat not burn is actually a bigger market than vaping products.
Wow.
And nicotine pouches is right here in the very top of the list. It's just...
That's very surprising, isn't it?
Very interesting how the market breaks down when you see the actual data behind it, and then you try and look at, why is the data the way it is? Well, you came to realize that as they implement more regulations, things are going to change. And he analyzes all the data. He takes a look at, where are the states that have regulations? Where are the states that have flavor bans? Where are the states where they've implemented taxes? And then you're trying to analyze consumer behavior to determine, what are these regulations actually doing to the marketplace? And this I thought was pretty interesting.
Holy moly. Yep. Easy.
The top reason for buying disposables. They're just easy to use. 36% look at it and go, I just want something I can pick up and use. That's the whole reason why these things are present everywhere.
I've just picked that one up today. It was just...
it's that simple to use.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. And, you can get the same type of flavors in bottles, but when you have it in a disposable, you're not limited to a 120 ml bottle if you're buying the big, huge ones or the 60 ml bottles or even the 30 ml bottles that are, high nic. You're limited to the 16 mils or down to 2 mils that are in a disposable. If you don't like the flavor, guess what? You can finish using the product and switch to a different flavor to find whatever works best for you.
And the thing is with the disposables now, these new, modern disposable, the flavors are absolutely banging on all of them. I've never come across
unbelievable how
yet.
good the flavor is.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then naturally,
tastes like Coca-Cola.
Low price is another factor, following ease of use, because you can pick up a little disposable for comparable to what you would pay for a pack of cigarettes, as opposed to spending over $100 to get yourself a starter kit. And here's another beneficial thing: curiosity. Smokers walk into wherever they buy their cigarettes and they see this vape and they go, well, if that's better for me, maybe I ought to just try it and see what it's like. If I had $1 for every time I saw somebody on Twitter or any of the social media platforms talking about how they accidentally quit smoking because of vaping, they got curious one day, they tried it, and they go, wow, this tastes a lot better than a cigarette.
Well, this has been my point with the disposals for ages. A smoker walking into a shop does not plan to give up smoking. He's going to the shop for a pack of cigarettes. And then when he sees somebody there on the shelf, he'll go, oh, like you said, I might give that a go. And they do.
Exactly. And then obviously flavor matters. Kenny just got done talking about how good the flavors are in these disposables nowadays.
Oh, yeah, really good.
And this is a good one. 10% of the people buy them because it's an emergency situation where, you've had that happen before.
A backup, when all your batteries are gone or you burnt out all your coils and you've got nothing to replace them, you go, oh, I'll have that. I'll have that.
That'll get me through my trip to wherever I'm going.
Yeah,
or until I get back home.
That's exactly where it was. I was out at work and driving. The batteries went flat on me main mod, so I nipped into the local convenience store and picked up one of them to tie the rest of the day off. Champion.
Yep.
Backup.
7% of the people purchase it because it has a high nicotine level in it. So you can take a couple puffs of this and be satisfied before your smoker friends actually get a cigarette out of their pack and lit. You're already like on your way back to work because you already got your 2 hits. And you can get back to work.
Yeah.
You've satiated yourself. It's that simple. And
I've noticed,
here's the best part. 3% of the people regularly use a disposable, and that's all they use.
The stealth of them as well, because they don't produce a whole lot of vapor either. So, that could be another reason.
Yeah. And here's the breakdown by age group. I thought that was also pretty interesting.
Ooh.
Here in the UK, or here in the US and in the UK, the figures are pretty much the same. The only difference is in the UK, more women use disposables, and here in the United States, more men use disposables.
Definitely.
But the thing that I wanted to get to, let me see if I could find it in here before we jump to Clive, was, where was it? Over time. Disposables are on the top. For fiscal year 2023, this current year, when they did the survey, 40% of the market in the United States is disposables. 20% of the market is pre-filled pods. 16% of the market is refillable pods that are open system. And basic open system ones, only 12%. Advanced open systems are only 12%.
Wow.
You want to know why the disposable market is so big at these expos? There's the data that shows you exactly why. Because that's what people are buying.
That's what people are buying. And that's why all the big manufacturers are jumping on the disposable bandwagon.
Even in, Europe, you're looking at the data. What used to be 2% of the market is now 20% of the market.
That's right.
Pre-filled pods are 13. Refillable open pod systems are 18. Basic open systems that used to be 50% of the market are now only 20% of the market.
Yeah.
And advanced open tank systems are only 30% of the market now.
Yeah, definitely, it's definitely a trend there, isn't it? Definitely a change, isn't it?
As much as you might hate them, you know, the manufacturers are going to make what the people want to buy. That's the only way that they can make any money.
It's supply demand, you know, supply to demand. Eh? That's what people want. That's what they're going to make.
Exactly. All right,
that's
so
not just vaping products. That's across the board.
Exactly. I mean, the whole purpose of a business that manufactures something is to make things that people want to buy. Nobody's going to sit there and make something, you know, in excess quantities if nobody wants to buy them.
Exactly.
You're not going to get all the mice manufacturers out there to make trackballs if nobody's buying trackballs. If everybody wants to buy a wireless mouse, guess what? All the mice are going to be on the shelves.
Well, it's simple economics, isn't it? You know what I mean? Hang on, everybody's
Simple
buying
logic.
mouse balls, but we'll just make the normal mice. But let them, yeah, just you know.
All right, so jumping into this, let's go to Clive's presentation, and we're going to stop along the way. He goes pretty quickly, but every year that he's given this presentation, he always runs out of time. And this is the first year that he actually almost got it finished the way he intended to.
So let's get started. I've been asked to talk about risk perceptions and what effect those have on the debate on nicotine and tobacco. But I'm going to start with some preliminaries about things I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about how dangerous smoking is, and I'm not going to walk through a very informative presentation on how safe vaping is. We're going to jump straight to an initial premise, which is that smoke-free nicotine products are much less harmful than cigarettes. That's just taken as read in this room, and I think Jamie's probably be with me on that one. Okay, so let me go on to the substantive presentation. Where is the risk today? And I thought it'd be interesting just to plot how many Americans are doing what. Okay, so this is numbers of Americans. Okay, that's the sort of numbers, about just over 35 there. That's the breakdown between vaping only, dual use, and smoking. From a different survey, this is the youth numbers.
Holy shit.
Can we just stop for a moment to actually take a look at this? All the messaging and all the policy decisions by FDA to regulate and control these products is directly and exclusively based upon, I need to bring this up.
But, you know, there was a high of vape, and a lot of them vaping more than smoking, which to me I think is a good thing. Do you not?
Exactly. I'm not the only one that looks at that from that perspective. If this is harm reduction and this is better for people in the long run, wouldn't you want all the youth to vape and not smoke?
It's obviously, you know what I mean? That's just
and Clive goes exactly into this perspective next.
Okay, that's people under 18 or high school or middle school kids vaping, dual use, and smoking. Okay, the big problem is the smoking. It's the adult smoking at imminent risk of severe disease. Okay, but most of the focus in the US in particular is on this youth population and their vaping, which is a much less risky behavior. Now, the reason this is interesting for risk perceptions is that if you're focused on youth vaping, your incentive is to minimize the difference in risk perception between smoking and vaping. If you're focused on adults, you want that to be as large as possible because you're trying to encourage people to switch from the high risk to the low risk. And I think it's this focus on youth vaping that has distorted the risk perception landscape in the United States.
I'm sorry, I can't just jump to the next thing here because this is driving me insane. All right. These are the people where the public problem is here. These are the people that are going to die if they continue to smoke. They will die an early death because they continue to light tobacco on fire. Okay? Look at the large number of people compared to the minuscule amount of people that are experimenting with vaping or cigarettes or cannabis or alcohol or God knows what. There was another presentation done by a scientist here talking about the realization that teenagers have a propensity for risky behavior because they don't worry about the long-term health effects of it. Doesn't matter whether they cough or not from it. If they're getting a high from it or they're getting some kind of experience or some kind of attention from their social group that they're within, well, they're going to do it just for the sake of satisfying that social crowd. But all of the prevention and all of the regulation is exclusively focused on the youth that aren't going to die from these things.
Nope.
Anyway, let's move on.
Because you're trying to encourage people to switch from the high risk to the low risk. And I think it's this focus on youth vaping that has distorted the risk perception landscape in the United States. Right. Risk perception. Let's look at what the actual risk perceptions are. This is from the HINT survey. The
Excuse me.
But essentially, somebody has helpfully reconfigured my slides. Thanks for that. Basically, the it's really annoying. Basically, the people who correctly see vaping as much less risky than smoking is only 2.6%. Okay. I don't actually know. Yes, but the number of people who are wrong, who think it's as harmful or more harmful, is 62%. Okay, and that's really significantly wrong. Okay. And then there's a group here, about another quarter, who are just confused. And, you know, basically they don't know what to do or what to make of this. So this is people who really don't understand this risk difference. And, of course, if you don't understand that risk difference, of course you're concerned about youth vaping because you think it's just as bad as youth smoking. Let's turn that over. Again, some reconfiguration of my slide done here. But that's how that breaks down. That's 100%. If you look at the trend over time, you can see what's happening is a drift towards more wrongness. Over time, people have believed that these perceptions have got worse, and the rightness has been crushed by the wrongness. It's been driven out by people with worse risk perceptions over time. Okay? Again, my slide has not quite come out as intended.
It really kerfluffled him this year to have something change in the way that his slides presented. But I can't get over the fact only 2.6% of the people accurately understand that vaping and nicotine consumption through electronic cigarettes is less harmful than lighting tobacco on fire and breathing that in. How can we possibly accept the fact?
A lot of it's the media filling everybody's heads full of shit. You know, the media is one of the biggest culprits of wrong information or misinformation or highlighting things that go wrong. You know, when people vape or make mistakes with vaping, or vaping's supposed to cause this or cause that. That's what the media do. And you know, they are giving out the wrong signals, period. You know what I mean?
The media, in my opinion, I'm not going to get into the whole thing about how you've got this industrial complex that is trying to coordinate messaging. Leaving that all aside, it is quite obvious that the news media especially are opportunistic bloodsuckers. They're like sharks. If they smell blood, even if it's 1,000 kilometers away, they're going right for it, and that's what they're plastering on the front page because it gets the most clicks. They don't care whether it's true or not. Where's the journalistic integrity nowadays that we had when I was growing up as a kid, and you actually open up a printed copy of the paper to read the articles there? And the journalists that wrote back in that day were deathly afraid of printing something that wasn't 100% actual, true, factual, documented, verified sources that confirmed that statement that they made. Nowadays, we've got this electronic internet mill that just constantly regurgitates crap, and the more false it is, the more widespread it becomes.
Yeah, scaremongering as well. You know, vaping does this, vaping causes this. No, it doesn't.
And also contributing to this, we can't leave out Michael Bloomberg and Bill Gates sitting there dumping money into these organizations, body part organizations, to improve everybody's health. Meanwhile, they're only focused on the youth, preventing youth use. That's all we ever message to. And Clive's going to get to it here in a moment, talking about how the whole two-sided organization of the youth prevention and the adults who need this information are diametrically opposed to each other. The adults need to get repeated messages saying that this is healthier and better option and you need to switch this. The youth need the opposite. And it's all been one-sided.
But it's kind of like pushing.
Good.
It's kind of like trying to push two magnets together, isn't it, with opposite poles. The pull and the, they're getting pushed apart. You know, the bullshit's in the middle, and there's people one side this, one side that, isn't it? It's kind of like that kind of effect.
Exactly.
Like I say, youth vaping one side, adult vaping one side, and the crap in the middle. It's pushing and pulling people in different directions.
Yep, and giving them the exact wrong information. And they pretty much wrote off all of us adult smokers or ex-smokers, because there's plenty of ex-smokers that switched to vaping that I've seen on Reddit talking about how they went back to smoking cigarettes because they can't overlook how many different sources they see publishing the fact that it's healthier, it's worse for you. It's like, maggots eating away your brain. And he even gives an example from New Jersey about saying that vaping is just as safe as jumping out of an airplane with no parachute.
At the end of the day, it's down to the individual. At the end of the day, it's their choice, their decision, what they want to do. But they've got to make that decision or choice of information they're given. And that information needs to be accurate and true, not bullshit.
Exactly. And it doesn't help that the FDA has denied 99% of all the applications that were submitted to them. Brian King was giving the opening presentation today at E-Cigarette Summit. And, he talks about, he sounds like a freaking perfect politician. He says he's a scientist, but when you listen to and analyze his actual speeches that he's given, he's nothing but a politician telling you what you want to hear, to think that they're actually making great strides over at the FDA. And, it's taken such a long time for them to get here, and how they issue more communications than, every single day than most federal agencies issue over the whole year. But the fact of the matter is, the FDA denying all of those products has sent a message to the public that these are not appropriate for the protection of public health, despite the fact that he did make the statement that he understands that as a market category, they're significantly less harm than combustion. But his actual approvals and it's not what you say, it's what you do. And when you don't authorize any products for sale, the public says, oh, well, it must be just as bad as smoking.
Of people severely wrongly believe that nicotine is the primary cause of cancer in smoking, okay? That's a terrible number, given how wrong that is. The number of people who are confused about it is around 19%. They simply don't know. And again, you can put those people who have no agency and don't really know what to do. This is risk perceptions about smokeless tobacco and smoking. 72% are totally wrong here and think that there's no difference in risk between smokeless tobacco and smoking. Okay, so moving on to the third section, where does all this wrongness come from? Okay, now one of the most depressing things you can possibly do is a little tour of the internet, and you come up with stuff like this, which are masquerading as vape facts. And the vape fact in this case is that vaping is as safe as skydiving without a parachute, which is, of course, instantly fatal. And vaping, newsflash, is not instantly fatal. Okay, but then we go on to the American Heart Association.
Instantly fatal.
And here they promise us the truth, but the truth is ugly, according to, American Heart. And they say that anyone who says vaping is safe is just blowing smoke. No one says vaping's safe, they just say it's much safer. So American Heart here is promoting a non sequitur and holding it up as a straw man and then trying to attack it.
Perfect example. I have constantly been out there trying to find science about vaping so that I can, put the information out there and look at all the propaganda that's out there and use that to refute what people are posting out in social media, right? How come there is no study that I can find anywhere on the entire planet that says and puts vaping as a category class, and stacks it in the potential harm of everything else in society? There's only been one meme, basically, that I found that was put together that basically compared how many deaths have resulted from vaping and how many other deaths there are, and what, like the example was peanuts are more harmful for you than vaping because people have died from peanuts, that aren't allergic to them, just choking on them, than people have died from vaping. And here we have the American Heart Association just blatantly lying about it. They know the truth.
Let's go on to American Lung. So I'm looking at the sources of authority for all of this wrongness. Okay, American Lung are worried about losing another generation to tobacco-caused disease as a result of e-cigarettes. They're basically saying it's the same problem as cigarettes. It's totally wrong and totally irresponsible to say that.
Totally irresponsible for the American Lung Association to say that, especially knowing the fact that there are scientific studies that are done on smokers that had COPD and then they switched to vaping, and guess what? Their COPD is no longer terminal because they actually get better.
Let's go on to American Cancer, because surely they'll get it right. No, e-cigarettes should not be used to quit smoking. So if you want to reduce your risk of cancer, this is the way you're not allowed to do it. Don't do it using e-cigarettes, because that would be a bad way not to get cancer. Okay? And they elaborate on that later in the statement by saying adults who smoked, if you're impertinent enough to actually do this and switch, adults who switch using e-cigarettes expose themselves to potentially serious ongoing health risks. So if you did reduce your risk of cancer by switching to e-cigarettes, you probably made a mistake, you idiot. Go back to it. Do it again.
And this is in stark contrast to Cancer Research UK, who has stated that the cancer risk of nicotine vaping is less than 0.5% compared to smoking. 0.5% the cancer risk of smoking deadly combustible cigarettes. How are they allowed in the United States to get away saying something like that, knowing that the science says something exact opposite of what they're saying?
Okay. Then we get to official sources of health information. This is a supposedly respectable health information site, Healthline. First of all, they ask a question, which of course has been distorted by the translation of this, but essentially, is vaping more harmful than smoking cigarettes? That's called anchoring bias. That's just the thing we're not sure about. Is it the same? Is it worse? Is it a bit better? So they've started by anchoring the risk perception around equivalence. And then just to make sure you get the point, current research suggests that vaping still poses many of the same risks as smoking. And to back that up with an argument for authority, we are informed that this has been medically reviewed by the guy in that picture.
Medically reviewed by Dara O'Connell, MD, and by Charlotte Pattermore on February 28th, 2023. Needless to say, if you follow the science, you come to realize that the physicians wrongly perceive nicotine kind of like the public does nowadays. 80% of doctors don't know that nicotine does not cause cancer. How are we okay with this? The healthcare industrial complex does not understand what actually causes people to get sick. Well, then, if that's the person you go to when you get sick, and that's the person that gives you advice how to improve your health outcome, how can we be okay with the fact that 80% of them have no clue what the hell they're talking about?
There. Okay, so it's an official thing. Right, let's go on to, I just thought, that's what you get in the States, and there's a ton of it. Let me just show you what we have in the UK, what we have in England, okay? This is the National Health Service, so it's the prime healthcare provider in England. And this is what it says about vaping, okay? Vapes or e-cigarettes are far less harmful than cigarettes and can help you quit smoking for good. Boom, okay? Actionable, correct, useful, truthful information delivered to the public and healthcare practitioners that help them work out what to do. Okay, no nonsense, none of the bullshit you saw in the previous papers. It's just straight to the point with actionable information.
Not only is it straight to the point, but it takes the priority and puts the information out there in the correct priority. You have significantly more people that are smoking that are going to die from their smoking than you do kids that are going to experiment anyway, regardless of what you do with the laws or anything else, and who aren't never going to die from these products if the accurate information is out there and they don't confuse nicotine vaping with THC vaping, which is a whole nother segment that was presented by another scientist. Anyway, you can take a look at UK messaging, and the UK messaging clearly states on here that vaping is far less harmful than cigarettes. And they can help you quit smoking for good. And they put that first. And then after they put that information out there, then they say that they're not recommended for non-smokers and cannot be sold to people younger than 18 years old in the UK.
That's what I'm saying. It's simple information, straight to the point. No side swerving or none. It's there. Straight, simple.
Scientists call that risk proportionate regulation.
Simple word to understand. You kind of get more simple than that.
And more importantly, somebody nobody talks about, risk proportionate messaging to the public.
Yeah.
Seriously lacking here in the United States. It's a complete information desert compared to what the UK is putting out there when you sit there and look at that and know the science behind it.
You saw in the previous papers, it's just straight to the point with actionable information. Let's go on to the Avali, let me call it a scandal, because it is a black ops information operation, I think. We know this was pretty bad. About 3,000 people were hospitalized, 68 people died. The cause was adulterated THC vapes. Nicotine vapes were not implicated at all, not one bit, not whatsoever. We can go into why that is on the panel. But nevertheless, nicotine vaping was blamed in some ways, and it was done deliberately. It was done deliberately by health misinformation provided by US federal agencies. That affected risk perceptions, and you could see this is information contagion flowing across the Atlantic and making things worse in Britain as well as in the United States. Same thing happened in the US. There's some good papers on this. But the people believing that vapes were as harmful or more harmful increased significantly after the Avali information operation. Okay? Now, why is this important? Risk perceptions affect behavior, and there's a huge literature on this in general, and that's a good paper on it, and specifically in the tobacco area. I'm not going to go into this, but it's pretty obvious. If you believe something's harmful, you're kind of more averse to it. Okay? So let's just think about the implications of that for the Avali thing. Okay, it was bad, 68 deaths, that's pretty bad. But supposing Avali misperceptions shifted smoking behaviors by 0.01%, okay? So an immeasurable perturbation of smoking behaviors. In the US, that's 3,000 additional smokers, okay? 0.01% of 30 million, 3,000. So huge effects come from these misperceptions because they're happening at a population level. You know, it's huge impact there.
And it travels all around the globe. You have politicians in Australia that took the actions that they're taking right now to literally ban vaping, and they're still being told it was because of a volley and because of popcorn lung and a bunch of all these other things we've already disproven how many times?
Yeah.
Right, let's go on. So false risk perceptions cause actual body harm, and professionals need to take some responsibility about this and recognize that they can cause enormous harm if they misdescribe the risks associated with these things. Of course, there's no accountability. No one's held accountable in the way they would if they were given bad medical advice in a consulting room, but nevertheless, these things can be enormously damaging. Right, let me just move on now to the next stage, because I think the change in risk and risk perceptions have quite important implications that mean we need to rethink nicotine. I call this the vanishing deterrent, okay? And it's pretty simple when you think about it. Most of the reason people give for not smoking or for quitting smoking is that they're worried about the health effects of smoking, okay? But what about the situation where those risks have gone? What's your deterrent to nicotine use if there's no cancer, heart disease, and so on? And there's a study here, it's a little bit old now, but it looked at the reasons people give for quitting smoking. And the ones in red are essentially various kind of health related things. I'm worried about my health, I'm worried what my doctor's telling me, and all this. They're almost all something to do with health or some derivation of health. Okay? What if those have gone? What if that reason has gone? What then happens to the demand for nicotine? And indeed, is there a latent demand for nicotine that would be people who are put off using nicotine because of smoking would start to use it because it's less dangerous now? You'd expect that. That's Economics 101. Also, the harms are part of the justification, a major part of the justification for the policy package. You know, you don't just put big warnings on or restrict people from doing things if there's not a harm. So harm justifies the policy interventions, and the policy interventions are designed to suppress use. So that's another aspect of the deterrent that you lose as a result of this.
Can you imagine if they sat there and they put warnings on coffee? Because looking at the science, the relative risk of harm is pretty much identical for nicotine vaping versus drinking coffee. You imagine if they had to put on every single coffee product a warning stating how bad it is for you and how it raises your blood pressure. And
so what happens? It's a question for rethinking nicotine. What happens to the deterrent if there is minimal harm associated with nicotine use? Right, so we have to rethink nicotine, I think. The first thing is, don't have long on this, but basically we have to do more to understand the demand function for nicotine. It isn't just a kind of slave to addiction. There are pleasurable stimulation from it. There's control of mood, stress, anxiety. There are cognitive benefits in terms of short-term memory and handling cognitive tasks and so on. There's potential benefits for people, regulating benefits for people with ADHD and so on. Okay, so we need to be a bit more insightful about why people are using these products in first rather than just smothering it all with a narrative about nicotine. Now, these products now mean that we potentially have a recreational drug in the form of nicotine that we could put aside alongside the other recreational drugs that are essentially normalized in society. Caffeine, moderate alcohol consumption, and increasingly cannabinoids, okay? We think about these differently. When somebody brings out a new craft beer, we don't go, is that appropriate for the protection of public health? Because it's a beer. Well, it's obviously not appropriate for the protection of public health. It's not its intention. It's intended to be drunk and enjoyed. And we need to sort of think a bit more about whether the framework we have for managing nicotine is appropriate when we're essentially managing a relatively benign recreational drug. Mike Russell, of course, is a leading thinker on this. This is one of his less famous quotes, but a very apposite here. No compelling objection to the addictive use of nicotine, providing it's not shown to be physically, psychologically, or socially harmful to the user or others. And I agree with that. I think it's a really important point. Backed up question here, is it even addictive? And this is the definition from the, shout out to Sharon Cox here, the addiction ontology. And this is the definition. You can't read it, it's too small, but I've blown it up here. A mental disposition towards abnormally high levels of motivation to engage in a behavior. Important point, where the behavior results in risks or occurrence of serious net harm. Now, if it doesn't result in serious net harm, is it addictive? Do we need to rethink the narrative about addiction if this is the definition that we accept of what an addiction is? And I'm going to finish now with words of wisdom on this subject. And I'm not going to say who it is for now. The challenge to me is not to eliminate smoking, but the death and disease from smoking, he said. That should be the end goal. And if you had a product that addicted 45 million people and killed none of them, then I would take that deal. Then you'd have coffee. Who was this? Matt Myers!
Who just retired from Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. He didn't actually retire. He stepped down as being the president of Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. And whether you want to take this as with a grain of salt or not, I think it's all done because Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids is going to be heavily advocating this year for the ban of menthol. So who would you put into play as the president of Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids if you're going to ban menthol, which is predominantly used by black members of society? Think about it. And then go and look and see who the new president for Campaign Tobacco-Free Kids is, and it all makes sense to you.
Matt Myers, the retiring president of the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. I agreed with him when he said that in 2016. I don't really agree with anything he's done since because it runs in the face of that analysis that we have now. And my final thing, I'm going to leave you with a question, which is, who is threatened by nicotine without much harm? Okay. Now, tobacco control might be threatened because it would become coffee control in Myers' understanding of the concept. And coffee control just isn't a thing. There isn't a coffee control summit or anything like that. So all those grants, conferences, NGOs, treaties and everything, they wouldn't really mean anything if the substances in question were essentially benign.
What do you think?
He's bang on. Absolutely bang on. Absolutely
that
bang on.
Right there is all based on the actual science and the current state of affairs all around the globe. Matter of fact, I don't understand why nobody has pointed this out yet, okay? The UK is going to be handing out 1 million vaping devices to smokers to get them to stop smoking, right? And the potential from previous studies where they've done this with the homeless population and with the pregnant population show that it is going to make a staggering change in the number of smokers in the UK.
Done it in the prisons as well.
Exactly. Now, my concern is, and it should be everybody's concern that's involved with public health, this misperception of how harmful nicotine truly is going to prevent a number of those smokers in the UK from accepting a vape to quit smoking. And I will be surprised if they actually give away all 1 million of those vaping devices, because they're going to run into the interference of the people that don't understand that it is actually better for you.
I think they will give them away, but whether they'll be, it's probably down to the success rate of getting those people to quit. That's what it's kind of boiled down to. They might try and bling it, you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, if they accept the device, they're going to be given appropriate behavioral support and counseling, teaching them how to use the device, teaching them how to cope with, all the things that we dealt with when we quit smoking. But to get them to actually take that first step.
I mean, like I said, they could just follow along for the ride type of thing as well. I mean, like I said, when it comes to like disposable, no smoker intends on quitting. They just get a spur of the moment. You know what I mean? So if somebody's handing out these vapes, they might just say, "Oh, well, I'll have one spur of the moment." And I hope there is a good success rate. I really, really do, because then that's another thing we can shout out about. Just saying, look, we've done this, and people are quitting through vaping because we supply them with vapes. But I think the thing with the UK is why they're pushing it and why there is a lot of success with it. There is some negatives, but they're like minuscule. It's just scaremongering stories. But because our health service is it's paid for by the taxpayer, that is the difference. It's run by the government. It is the taxpayer who runs our health service, not some private health service who are in to make money. That's basically what they are. They're in to make money. Same with the big pharmaceutical companies. They're all private companies in to make profit. It's a business. That's what they're there for, and they'll do it through whatever means they can. But that's the big difference between us and probably the rest of the planet, is because our health service is paid for by me and any of us, the taxpayer.
Well, you as a taxpayer of the UK should be demanding that the UK government start a marketing campaign to get the facts out there and to change the perspective on the relative harms of these products.
I think there is stuff out there that's doing that, but because government is not anti-vape, and there's no need to be really, really pushing, because they're kind of sitting there like accepting it type of thing that this is a thing, and this is and it is working. It's probably proved to be working, but at the end of the day, it's about saving the taxpayer money. It's saving the National Health Service and all this kind of stuff, like the smoke related illnesses, the smoking deaths, all that. Our country's hopefully smoke free by 20, blah blah blah. I don't think that'll ever happen, but I think it will be reduced very significantly through vaping, without a doubt.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate with you for a moment, okay? Looking at the data that he presented there, 75% roughly, give or take a couple percentage points, 75% of the people out there wrongly think that nicotine is causing cancer, causing heart disease, causing harm, just like cigarettes. 76% of the people think there's no difference between this and a combustible cigarette. How is that 76% going to believe somebody in the UK handing out a vape to them? Why would they say yes?
But at the end of the day, every year we'll have a Stoptober campaign. There's a Stop Smoking campaign every year. And vaping is now getting more promoted in that. And there is more.
And Vaporol.
It is a shame it's only a month of the year or 2 months of the year. It should be all 12 months of the year. They should be pushing stuff out. I mean, I totally get that. I totally agree with it. Again, it's probably down to funding, down to money, all that kind of stuff, like everything else. Or as our government, your government's prioritise stuff as well. I mean, we're still waiting for the new TPD stuff, and we've been out the EU for God knows what, a couple of years now. We're still waiting for that to happen. It hasn't happened. So I think it's just the way they're prioritising, and obviously budgets and spending and all that stuff. But I think it will come round eventually. But the interesting thing is obviously we're going to be due for general elections in the next year. I'm not 100% sure where Labour stands, like the Labour Party, because they're the biggest competitor, obviously, the Tories. I'm not 100% sure where they stand. I know there was a few politicians that were very anti-vaping. So that's another wait and see. If Labour do get in, are they going to continue updating, the old TPD stuff? Are they going to restrict it? Are they going to encourage it? We don't know. Everything's not perfectly safe over here. We're not sitting there, we're all right. We could be all right for a few years, but you don't know.
So in the back of your mind, let me see if I'm reading through the lines here or not. In the back of your mind, what you're saying is the reason why you don't see swap to stop hashtags and advertisements on buses and on bus stops and, billboards across the country is because of politics, just like it is here in the United States.
Possibly. More than likely, I would say. More than likely.
So even the UK healthcare system is susceptible to political pressures from opportunistic, blood-sucking politicians.
Oh, without a doubt. Definitely. But it's only, luckily, it's only a minority. You know what I mean? The majority are backing it, but there is a minority. But everybody's got, the right to choose, or the free speech or the free opinion. If people think it's bad, and fine, crack on. But, do your homework. That's all we say. Do your homework. Find out the facts. Make your decisions, your choices, whatever from there. I mean, we've got, like I say, similar problems to everybody else. There is an anti-vaping community in the UK. There is an anti-vaping, organisation in the UK. But like I say, over here is very, very minimum, because I think something about vaping with Vic was saying when the first of all the stuff that was going on in America, when that was first happening, he was saying that the way to do it is go down the political route, because that's how we did it in the UK. We voted with our feet with that. And that's what he was encouraging all the US voters to vote for, vote for your politician who, what encourages vaping. And that's kind of how it works. Yeah, it was down to politics. And politics.
There are very few politicians here in the United States that's willing to take a stance on harm reduction, let alone tobacco harm reduction.
Exactly, because they're all in somebody's pocket. It's as simple as
if
that.
somebody came out on a federal level that advocated for vaping, well, they would have a lot of people that vape stand behind them and vote for them. And it could overturn election results in various locations all around the world. There's no question about that.
Seeing the shoe was on the other foot, right? You've got your Bloombergs and your Gates plowing money in anti-vaping. What if all of a sudden somebody just as rich or richer than them started pro-vaping? We know what happened in that scenario. Have the two top dogs fighting each other, both with suitcases full of money to hide anybody. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? It's probably never going to happen, but that would be a massive heavyweight fight, that one. But like
only time's going to tell.
But like I say, at the moment, while we're, the NHS is government run, paid for by the taxpayer, I think we're pretty okay at the moment, but nothing's ever certain, is it?
No. And, I've talked about this before. I've charted the actual flow of cash into the UK, from Bloomberg and NIH and a bunch of other places, University of Bath and that's a whole nother conversation, and we'll save for another day, but you guys are not safe.
No. But there's a comment there William Dobson's made. It's the difference between the USA and UK governments that we can't be lobbied like you do in the USA, because we've now got lobbying laws in the US here to stop all that shit. We've clamped down on loads of stuff, the lobbies, especially with all these crooked, shall we say, politicians, like lobbying for this and they're getting the backhanders. So the politicians, all that changed big style. That is, like William said, it's a big difference.
Unfortunately, I don't think the U.S. regrets the fact that the World College of Physicians told them how bad cigarette smoking was, because they've raked in how much money, and now you've got how many body part organizations that are getting a massive cash infusion to keep misinforming people about the actual scientific facts.
Yeah.
The living facts. That's what science is. They were talking about, the Cochrane Institute talks about how it's a living document, assessing whether vaping helps you to quit smoking and comparing it to, NRT products and comparing it to other methods to quit out there. Well, all bodies of science are a living entity. And as you get more data, it's not that the previous assertions by science was wrong. It's just you didn't have enough data to show what reality of science actually is.
I think the only grey area regarding vaping, whether it hasn't been going on long enough, or whether there hasn't been enough research into it, or whether the research is still ongoing, is any long long-term health effects. You don't hear much about that at all. Maybe because there isn't any, but you never hear any reports, studying a vapor who started vaping in 2010 and vaping now, what has any
There hasn't been any
long-term-
studies that have been conducted over a
That's what I'm
10-year
saying.
period because there's no studies or universities that started a study back in 2010. There are studies that go up to maybe 2 years long, but
Yeah,
there
I'll
are
use
enough
as an
scientific
example.
studies out there to
Yeah.
look at like how vaping and vapor affect cellular metabolism. And you can compare that to how a cigarette smoke can, sent over the exact same cells affects their health.
Yeah,
So they can
yeah. I mean, I'll
they can
just
take
use-
there and look at it and go, well, that's where the UK comes up with this less than 5% of the harm.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I was just using as an example, like a long-term study of a vapor, because, at the end of the day, whether it be walking down the street inhaling car fumes or whatever, you are still inhaling a foreign body into your body. You're still taking a foreign body into your body. So,
And that gets back to what
will
I
that
want to
affect?
see science do. I want to find some scientists out there that actually sit there and looks at it and assigns a relative harm to vaping compared to like alcohol use and THC use and, exhaust from living in a city.
Yeah.
How much harmful is it? The only things that we have to go off of is occupational safety and, workplace safety tests that were done 5-10 years ago when vaping first got started, back when vape shops were the old school vape shops where you walked in and you couldn't see the back of the store because of how much vapor was in the room.
Smoke that.
Back when you could taste every flavor in the building, they literally had atomizers set up and little, silicone drip tips that you put on all these devices so you could try the flavors before you bought them.
Yeah.
And OSHA went in and did a test, and most of the things that they tested for were so low that the instruments couldn't pick up any reading whatsoever, despite the fact you couldn't see the back of the room. The only thing that they could test with such a minuscule amount was the nicotine. The rest of the stuff under occupational safety standards was negligent, absent.
I mean, like you say, like the cigarettes and all that would know the damage. I mean, there's alcohol as well. It affects other people. Yourself, you can go out out on a bender at the drink. You could be sitting there having a nice quiet drink with your wife or your girlfriend or your friends, just chilling out. Then you'll get some arsehole drunk who comes over and sticks a glass in your face or tries to knife you or something just because they are drunk. You know what I mean? You don't get that on vaping. You know what I mean? If anything, vaping starts a conversation, doesn't it? I mean, I've spoke to total strangers who have vaped. I'm going, all right, what are you vaping on, mate? I mean, this is the best one, right? I was out at work the other week, right? I'm not shitting you, right? This is our gospel, right? I was sitting, I'm doing delivery, and as a vapor, when you see a cloud, you go, you can spot a cloud a mile ago, you can spot another vapor. And these clouds were huge, right? They were massive. And I went, oh. And when I walked in the corner, there's this bloke, and their kids must have been late 60s, early 70s, sitting on a Titan, just chucking away. And honestly, I was like, that's brilliant. Wow. You know what I mean? Absolutely fantastic. And that struck up the conversation. We had a good chat there for 5-10 minutes, all about vaping. We don't even know each other.
Yeah.
Total difference. So it can't
I
be
hear
a
Phil and
social
Dimitri
thing.
talking about all the time, and I hear a lot of the people that have went to this summit today, and especially the ones that actually got to attend it live in person, talking about how they have a whole new family and a whole new group of friends and a whole community of people that they would have never met had vaping not enabled them to quit smoking.
Exactly.
You and I is a perfect example of that. Who would have ever thought that, I would be sitting here on a weekly basis having a conversation with somebody that's living almost on the other side of the planet?
Exactly. It's mad, isn't it? But
all right, one more thing that I want to talk about before we jump into something besides advocacy and science and harm reduction. I want to talk about this here. Here we have a letter to the editor, a letter to the newspaper that was written. Because, see, Vermont lawmakers have decided that prohibition is the way that they need to go and tackle this problem that they have going on right now, right? So this guy wrote an article there telling him, listen, harm reduction, not prohibition, should be Vermont lawmakers' goal. You know, prohibition is nothing new. The state was the second one in the country to ban alcohol, and this was back in the 1850s.
Yeah.
Now legislators are again flirting with the idea of prohibition by becoming the second state in New England to ban nicotine products like electronic cigarettes.
Did
It's
they not
unbelievable.
learn the lesson from the 1850s? Like, did they not learn the lessons of the past experience? Like, you know what I mean?
Listen, part of the reason why it's so easy for these prohibitions and these ridiculous regulations and these flavor bans to go into effect is because so much of the public does not understand the potential health benefits and the potential life savings of these vaping products that got us to quit smoking. If the truth was out there, would they be able to pass another flavor ban?
Yeah.
Wonderful article. Talks about the common sense of the, you know, there's 7,000 cigarettes, 7,000 chemicals, harmful chemicals, and 70 deadly carcinogens in every combustible cigarette. And those are either completely absent or at minuscule quantities inside of a vapor that these devices put out.
But that's what the fear mongers, you know, like, you know, there might be minuscule quantity of a chemical in a vape device, but they're going, oh, you're vaping this, you're vaping that, it's going to kill you. That's what they jump on, don't they? You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's not going to hurt you, mate. Shut up.
They've got a very simple solution. All tobacco products must be sold in adult-only shop.
Yeah.
And following the science and following basic economics, don't tax the vaping products like you tax cigarettes. You want to collect sales tax on it, fine. But there's no reason to put a sin tax on a product that is actually going to save people's lives.
No. I mean,
common sense.
Like I say, I think we just pay like a VAT, value-added tax on whatever. That's all we need to do, you know, just put a little value-added tax on for somebody buying it, and that'd be it. End of. Don't need to tax the arse out of them.
Yeah, well. One of the guys that at the E-Cigarette Summit, you know, after they get done, there's 2-hour sessions that go on. There was a 2-hour session in the morning. There was another 2-hour session that Clive was a part of that ended right when this stream started. Actually, a half hour after this stream started. And then there's 2 this afternoon. Unfortunately, I'll be able to go back and watch the replays. But the long and short of it goes down to the fact that the one guy, the one scientist that, you know, gave a presentation talks about how we live in a society nowadays where truth and facts and actual aggregated scientific opinions don't mean anything anymore.
No.
People crave false information. And in part of this, you know, this goes back to even Plato made a statement about how people would rather listen to the bullshit and be happy than listen to the inconvenient truth.
Well, this is it. I mean, when you hear like on the news all the other doom and gloom that's going on in the world, and then obviously they jump on the vape bandwagon as well. I mean, that all doom and gloom. It just, you know, nobody wants to hear doom and gloom anymore. They want happy and, yeah, tell us shite. That's what we want.
So that's where we live today, in toxic happiness.
Yeah.
The need for needless information that is all bullshit just to make us feel good, than the ugly, inconvenient truth that can actually make our lives better in the long run.
Plus, when the story kind of starts to fade away, like I've noticed, you know, the situation in Ukraine, you know, just been going, what, now? Yeah, now, since Russia invaded Ukraine, yeah, just for a year. Now you're just getting snippets of headlines of it. You're not getting the big headlines, no, with the first 6 months. Now it's just, oh, well, in Kiev, they've sent some drones over, blah, blah, blah. It's nothing major anymore. It's just, you know what I mean? Because they're getting bored with it. It's not selling.
Have you noticed
money anymore
with this Ukraine war that I have not been able to find a single source of how many people have actually died on both sides? That information is not reaching the public at all.
You won't, because it's all bullshit. Because, like I say, when they report on, say, a rocket landing, the Ukraine say so many dead, so many injured. The Russians will say, well, no, we've never done that. Well, they deny it. You know what I mean?
Why is it when COVID struck, there were multiple websites that kept track of all the deaths that were attributed to the COVID infection? But here we have a war, an actual war. It's 2023. We have an actual war going on, and nobody's keeping track of how many Russians have died and how many Ukrainians have died and how many of the aid workers or the people that went back to their motherland have died because of this war.
A lot of it's all the casualties, I suppose, all the migration, the people, you know, the immigrants that's coming over, the, you know, all them type of people. You hear a lot of that, but you're not actually hearing any facts about the war as such anymore. It's all bull. I mean, like I say, we've just had the Eurovision Song Contest, which we were hosting on behalf of Ukraine. You know, and again, you know, they were all happy with the actual contest. They weren't actually looking at the real reason why it was there. You know what I mean? You know, it just kind of like there was mentions, but it was getting like brushed aside type of thing. You know what I mean? So just whatever makes everybody happy, like you say. Yeah, well, jolly. Oh, yes. The war on you. Yeah. You're fighting Ukraine, but I'm watching these music. Oh, they're freaking great. You know what I mean?
People would rather get on TikTok and watch these ridiculous, you know, clips to make them feel better than actually like watching evening news. I mean, part of that has to do with the fact that, you know, only 20% of the population actually believes what they see on TV nowadays.
Well, there's that as well. But then again, I mean, I don't believe anything on TikTok. I don't even look at it. You know, it's just, I mean, that's another thing. Social media's played a massive part with the vaping crap as well. You know what I mean? The bullshit they put out.
And that's a perfect segue to get out of talking about any of this stuff anymore and to go on, move on to a flavor explosion. We've been at this for an hour and a half already.
Yes.
And I think it's time to enjoy.
We need a drink after that, don't we?
Aye. And for my UK mate, we have today.
Well, it was what I was going to have last week, but I've got it in for this week. Today, I am going for a refreshment. And today I have bought some K cider.
Ooh.
It is alcohol 7.5% volume on these little cans. It's I wasn't really a cider fan, but this like got us into it because it's not too sickly or sweet. It's like a dry cider. It's not even dry. It's hard to describe what it is, but it's absolutely so refreshing when you drink it. But it's just a basic 500 ml kind of very strong cider. And I'm going to crack this open right now.
That's fantastic. I am continuing along with the Simply Spiked line. I love this fruit juice and alcohol combination. And today we're going with a mango peach. 5% alcohol by volume, 5% fruit juice, and 110% flavor. Cheers, mate, to your health.
Same to you, Seth. Wow. I love drinking cider in the summer. I think it's more refreshing than beer.
Definitely. And peach and mango is a perfect combination together. It just gives you that beautiful fruit sensation in your mouth. It just makes you salivate and salivate and salivate.
And I'll tell you what's going with it quite nicely. I am vaping on some of that. Apple mango
smoothie.
And with it being apple and cider, it's absolutely great. It is, I tell you.
That is a wonderful combination.
Yeah, it was quite nice.
And I had to go make another bottle of this Mango Extreme that we made last week. I plowed through this. I finally finished off Mallory Gates Peach Lemonade because another Simply line is lemonade and fruit combinations. I've been working my way through them. My wife bought me a case of that the other day. And it obviously pairs well really good with this lemon peach because all these fruits are just basically sisters and brothers hanging out together, you know? But this was so delicious.
Yeah, I've noticed you're liking your fruits a lot lately. Like, you know, you're right into there at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, this Mango Extreme that I put in here, I plowed through that 30 ml bottle like nothing. And I actually put up a review on it because I was so convinced that, you know, it's just the perfect recipe the way it is. I can't find anything really wrong with it. And after I completely finished this bottle, I started to question, I'm like, is this maybe just a little too sweet? So I went back and I'm like, okay, well, instead of 1.2% of super sweet in there, let's cut that back to 0.8%. And let's see what this is going to be like. So I'm looking forward over the next couple days to trying out this less sweet version of it. See if it elevates that mango or not. Because the original recipe said that add a little tiny bit of cooling to it if you want more of the fruit flavor.
Cooling.
I've experienced that before. If you put like 0.2% of the cooling in there, like the WS23,
yeah.
Sometimes you won't even be able to tell that it's got cooling in it. It just accentuates certain flavor profiles because it's the way that your tongue, the receptors on your tongue actually perceive those flavor components.
Yeah.
And then obviously if you like cooling, then you just bump it up to a, 4% or whatever.
I think this has got a hint of cooling in it, like, because it's like but it's very faint, you know what I mean? And it's probably like you said, they put that in to enhance another flavor. But the apple on it's really nice. It's just like it's like a what we call a Granny Smith's, a green apple. Oh, it's absolutely bang on. Quite impressed with actually for being a cheapy one. I mean, very impressed so far. But
I am very impressed with these ox bars. This is the one that my wife had, and she's been using this now. How long have we had this on? It's coming on 2 weeks now. And she usually uses this almost every single day. And I finally got it off of her. And this is the one that I've had here. But because it's a 5% solution, it's not something that I can use constantly. Like, I'll take 1 or 2 puffs of this, and that would replace, like 8 or 10 puffs of this. Because I get the amount of nic that I need, satiates me. And because it's such a high concentration, it just takes longer for that to dwindle down to the point where I'm like, okay, where's my nic at?
Well, these things last me forever because, like I say, that the 20 milligram and it's just way too much for me. I have a couple of that's enough. And everybody's going, oh, you're a wussy, but I've been on 3 milligram for about 4 or 5 years now, and like I say, when you hit that, woohoo.
It was interesting. I was watching, Jonathan Folds was on giving a presentation. He's from Penn State University, I believe. Anyway, he does a bunch of research and stuff, and he was sitting there looking at the nicotine concentrations in these disposable vapes, and he's looking and tracking the nicotine levels in your blood. And people use these disposables because they're such high nic much less than they use open tank vapor systems. Because 2 puffs, like I said, is all it takes for me to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I got the nic I need. I'm good.
It's a bit like your guys who do this will have a mouth to lung with 20 milligram in, which they call the morning cigarette. That's that initial hit when they get up in the morning. You know, that's like when they're craving. That's never really bothered me. I mean, I've just got up and I'll admit I probably chain vape a lot in the morning because I am wanting that nicotine, and with it being 3, I did try upping my nicotine to 6, I think it was, about sometime last year. It didn't agree with us. So I found I started coughing and I again with it, so I kept it back down to that. But I chain it more in the morning what I would during the day.
I think you're like Jay Hayes.
What you do.
Your optimal nicotine level isn't 3 and it isn't 6, it's 4.
Possibly.
If you set it up at 4, you won't chain vape it in the morning and you'll be more satiated. Yeah. And because you're more satiated and it's a 4, it's going to take longer before you're going to want to have another hit of your vape. But it was interesting. Jonathan Folds did the scientific study and he looked at it and he's like, people are less addicted to electronic cigarettes than they are to the regular cigarette. Has less of an addiction potential, and he literally mapped it out and did the science on it. And he realized that, you know, if somebody starts with an electronic cigarette, they're not as potentially going to become a regular user as if you light up a regular pack of fags.
I mean, there's other things to take into consider. I mean, if you're busy doing something, then you don't think about smoking because you're preoccupied. I've done that many a time. Even when I was a smoker, I've been busy doing something, I don't know, whatever, fixing the car, blah, blah, blah.
You don't miss it as much.
I went for hours without having a cigarette or whatever. Hours. And I'm thinking, that was me thinking when I was thinking of starting to stop smoking, when I was thinking of patting them in. I'm thinking, well, hang on. I can sit there and go 4 or 5 hours without a cigarette. Why can't I just do it longer?
I couldn't do that with a cigarette, but I can do that with a vape.
Okay.
Perfect example was when we went up to camp last time, which is we're going to be going up there again this week. When we went up to camp and I was, cleaning all the leaves out of our campsite and actually cleaned off the neighbors because she's not there anymore. I literally kept on working. And my wife was the one that had to tell me, hey, sit down for a couple of minutes and have a vape break. Yeah. But I had one of these around my neck and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
If I felt the need for one, I took one drag and I kept on working.
Yeah. Definitely.
And now it's actually backed up by scientific studies.
Exactly. There you go. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think, like you say, there's probably maybe more people vape who have eventually quit both. They quit the vape and the cigarette. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that do that now. Because like you said, with the amount of nicotine that's in them and they're vaping less and less and less, so they're kind of going to just wean themselves up at the end of the day.
And that actually brings up another study that was done looking at the risk perceptions of how if you started smoking a cigarette, you're going to smoke your entire life because you get addicted to them, right? Whereas because electronic cigarettes and nicotine vaping is less addictive than combustible cigarettes, they say that looking at the aggregate of the data, vapors are only going to vape for about 10 years if they use it to quit smoking, right? Because it eventually gets to the point where it's like, I don't need this anymore. I haven't smoked a cigarette in 10 years. And, they get to the point where it's like, okay, well, then now they're a complete non-smoker, non-tobacco user or anything. So when you factor that into the calculations to say, okay, let's suppose for a moment that nicotine vaping and combustible cigarettes have the same harm. Okay? If they have the same harm, factoring in how long people are actually going to use these products, Well, that means that vaping is definitely safer and better for you because you're only going to do it for 10 years of your life versus 40 or 50 years of your life.
Yeah. I kind of get that.
Which shifts the fact that, you know, these regulations need to focus on getting people to start vaping sooner instead of worrying about whether or not kids are going to experiment with something that they're going to freaking experiment with anyway. And if you ban vaping products, you think the kids aren't going to just pick up THC or alcohol or other risky drugs or behaviors?
Or again, black market vape products, which probably are more harmful if you don't know what's in them.
That's common sense logic.
I've always believed it's about education and regulation. Them's the two key things with vaping. It's not hard. It is not hard. It really isn't.
I think in the future, some scientist is going to take a look and see what the FDA has done right now and calculate exactly how many people died needlessly because the FDA didn't take the same regulatory approach that they did in Europe. TPD requires that they don't include this, don't include this, don't include this. And if you want to put a new product on the market, just submit your information into the registry database. And then if there's a problem with your products, we'll take your products off the market. Last time I checked, like Clive Bates has said numerous times, there aren't a shit ton of vapors out there keeling over in the Europe because they have different regulatory apparatus than they have here in the United States. Just like his example with craft beer.
Yeah, craft beer. It's a beer. Oh, it's fucking beer.
You want to make a new e-liquid and you want to sell it? Okay, submit the list of ingredients and what you use to make your products and file that in the database. And then if something comes wrong or something happens, you're obviously going to be liable for it. So whoever you kill because you made something that actually harmed somebody is going to sue you. And because you're actually selling a product out there, you're going to convert more smokers into vapors and improve their life outcome.
Exactly.
So some scientists are going to calculate exactly how many people the FDA is killing right now by doing market denials for 99% of the products that submitted PMTAs.
Well, they're just monitoring the smoking rates, whether they're coming down or going up. Probably where they will be going back up, obviously with all the bans coming in. So just add that onto whatever there is now, and that's what they're killing.
I still can't get over the fact there were 26,000 PMTAs submitted to the FDA, and that wasn't all the products that were for sale.
And some of them were by reputable large companies as well. Well-known companies. FDA, no. But again, big tobacco, big pharma, they're in their pockets, man. That's the only thing that passed, wasn't it? Products made by them.
Regulatory capture.
So, exactly.
Regulators are captured by the industries that are most at large to win or lose because of regulations.
But when you look back at how it's happened, you know, it's, oh, thank you very much, Ms. Hunky here for $2. Hey! But when you look back and you look at how the things have happened in the US, you know, if in hindsight, when you've seen the big tobacco companies buying into or developing vape products or buying into vape companies, you must have been thinking, hang on, why are they doing that? Now you know, FDA have fucking let them PMTAs go through and everybody else hasn't. It's, you know, when you look back, you think, this fucking, we're not stupid, you know what I mean? We knew there was a rabbit away with that. You knew. You know what I mean? Exactly.
So here's a question for you. Okay. You don't even live in the United States, right? Mallory Gage just brought up an interesting point yet. They still haven't done a single device, evaluated a vaping device, other than, you know, the Enjoy Ace that they approved, and then, you know, RJ Reynolds' product that they denied, and then the other one that they approved. But like Smock and Vaporesso and all these other ones, S'more, they haven't evaluated any of those devices.
I don't even think they bothered putting PMTAs in because
they did. They did.
They did, did they?
I know for a fact that they put PMTAs in. S'more International is a publicly traded, company on the stock market.
Like S'more's on the stock market. Yeah, I know that.
So all of their subsidiaries put in. Smock put in, and there's a bunch of other ones that did. So here's my devil's advocate question to you.
Have they been refused, or are they still sitting there?
I haven't seen any news about it, being evaluated or receiving a denial letter or anything like that. So my devil's advocate question to you is, if they don't authorize any e-liquid products, are they going to just blanket reject all of the devices?
It would be looking that way, because what is the point in giving devices if you've got nothing to vape in it? When you think about it, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can have a device, but you can just sit on your mantelpiece and look at it because you've got nothing to put in it.
Or are they dragging their feet on evaluating devices because they know that COP10 is going to ban all open tank systems?
That could be, yeah. And like you say, when you think about it, with all the likes of these now that are popular, they're going to be the top priority, aren't they?
Well, how many of these disposable products actually put in for a PMTA, and how many of them are just being sold on the black market because they're illegal? And then it's going to be playing that game of Plinko again, where you're going around whack-a-mole, where the FDA is going to have to go around and say, okay, that product's banned. Okay, that product's banned. I talked about that. It was on Bluehole.com. The manufacturers are just circumventing the whole PMTA and FDA process by just releasing products, and they don't care.
I think that's
because by the time they get caught up to them, they've already changed their name twice.
Yeah, I think that's a problem here with these. Is the black market for these in the UK is rife, absolutely rife. I've seen Amazon. I mean, I've worked for Amazon. I've delivered these to customers, and they're not legal in the UK. You know what I mean, Amazon are actually selling these to UK and European customers, and they're just going, they're still getting sold, and that's of a reputable company. So God knows what's going on with all the little, back alley or fell off the back of the wagon people. You know what I mean? It's just, it's like, what the hell?
The fact is, you have an economic demand for these products. They're going to sell whatever people want to buy. So as long as people want to buy them, they'll find a way around regulations to satisfy consumer demand and take the opportunistic situation of making money.
The only good thing about when we deliver these, they've got to be age verified, right? So the person who gets it is above legal age, which is fair enough. But I've had somebody where I'm delivering going, oh, my vape's arrived, and he's ripped it open on the doorstep and went, whoa, look at that. And it's been like 8,000 puffs in Alex. You're like, hold on a minute, that's not legal, lads. How'd you get that? You know what I mean? You're like, whoa, okay.
And that figure I was talking about with the FDA and the number of PMTAs goes to tell you exactly how many of these products are out there. And as long as people want them, somebody's going to make them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just going to be somebody, one company. There's going to be hundreds of companies that are going to make them.
Yeah. I was going to actually complain to me boss. I was going to say, "Hoy, you've made me an accessory to supplying an illegal vape device to somebody." Technically.
But when you take a look at the science and realize how it's beneficial to public health and it keeps them from smoking combustible cigarettes.
Well, there's that.
You are a public health warrior working for Amazon.
At the end of the day, we don't know what's in the packages until they're open. So there you go. It's the end user. It's nothing to do with us. We don't know what's in them.
That's like the vape mail ban here in the United States. Unless the post office has a reasonable suspicion that you are breaking the law by sending your packages, they can't open your stuff up.
No.
It has to be a law enforcement agency that intercepts your package and then, verifies that it actually did contain something illegal. But they have to have probable cause to get it in order to actually do something like that.
Mallard Gates made a good point there. Have you seen that one? Yeah, that's the one I was just looking at. It is the nick the mum and dad's vape, didn't they? Dad's left his vape, quick. 1%.
That's the other thing I can't understand. Common sense will tell you that whatever the representative market is for teens, if it matches what the representative market is for sale, why are you getting upset about the fact that, you know, majority of the vapes the kids use are flavored? Well, it's because the majority of the ones for sale are flavored.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
I don't see anything to get excited about.
Yeah.
If
hang on a minute.
90% of the market was tobacco flavored and kids own, you know, and only 5% of them were actually flavored like fruits and custards and shit.
Yeah.
And you did the study and you found that it was the opposite for kids. Well, then I can understand the whole idea about wanting to do flavor bans. But that's not the way it goes. 90% of the market is flavors other than tobacco.
Definitely.
So when kids are only using 80% of them, that tells me, well, hold on, what's the 10% difference? Are they using THC and not vaping?
But
for
on
nicotine?
the other side of the coin, even your tobaccos are flavored. You can get different flavors of tobacco.
Because there's no actual tobacco in tobacco vapes.
Exactly. That's the whole disillusion of it. You think, oh, it's tobacco. Oh, I'm quitting, so I don't want tobacco, but it's not tobacco. It's mad, man.
Maybe in the UK, because I have heard Vic talking about naturally extracted tobacco.
Yeah.
Flavoring.
Oh, yeah, they get that.
Not here in the States.
No, not get that over there. But then again, there's a very far and few that do that. Naturally extracted tobacco. It's not as popular as just your normal tobacco.
I've never heard of that here in the States.
No. Wow. I'm not a fan of tobaccos. I've been there, tried them, and nah, not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Not really my cup of tea. I'm a fruity and a custardy and a bakery man. That's me. That's what I like. Yeah. Oh, look at you, 23 degrees, you bastards. Still quite warm here, actually.
Yeah, I need to go out after the stream today and actually go cut the grass.
I've been working on car today. I've been fixing the wife's car again. More jobs that's been done.
Yeah, I got to do my wife's brakes. And her anti-sway bar link.
I've just put a new drive shaft on hers because the other one just fell apart. I don't even know how it was working. And the ironic thing is, on the MOT failure, it failed on the rubber boot, the CV boot, the inner one. I took it off and I thought I was like saying things. I thought it was like, I'm sure I took that off. When I took it off, somebody filled it with silicon. And there was that much silicon in it. It had made, I'm not shitting, it made a fucking mold of the boot. So when I took the boot off, I thought, yeah, then I turned around and went, it's still on. But it was a mold in silicon, black silicon. They filled it up with silicon to try and stop it leaking. And by doing that, they fucked all the needle bearings inside in their CV joint. So they were just everywhere. How that thing never fell out or made a rattle or anything, I do not know. But
well, because of all that silicone wrapped around there, whatever noise it did make was completely insulated.
Exactly. Not a nut or a bang. I'm thinking, how the hell is that? I mean, we've had the car a year and it's been driving that for a year like that. And I'm like, what the hell? Wow. Kudos to the man. It worked for 12 months, whoever done it.
I'm surprised they found it.
Well, I found it when I changed the boot. You know what I mean? It was just a failure because they must have seen the split on it and said, right, that's a failure. And then when I actually took it off, I thought, what the hell is that? It was a perfect mold of the boot. You know what I mean?
A whole tube of, probably more than a whole tube of silicone to encase the whole thing.
I was like, nah, I was actually going to take a photograph of it and say, have you ever seen anything like this in your life? But I was just so annoyed at the time. I just wanted to get it off. Just get that off.
Yeah.
Get it off. Get it in the bin. What the hell? Get it in the bin, you idiot. What were you thinking?
Dusty Country Road just replaced the caliper on the driver's side and front brakes on the truck. Yeah, I got to do the back brakes and actually the emergency cable on the Excursion. My wife went and took the dog to get his nails clipped, and while she was parked on the hill, she slammed the parking brake down and snapped the cable.
Oh, yeah.
So,
to tell you a lie, she was trying to handbrake it around the corner.
yeah, Excursion weighs too much to try and do something like that.
Well, I've still got a few things to do on it, like, but you know, I'm just methodically plodding on, as you do, bit by bit.
Always something to do. It's kind of like having a house. Wouldn't you own a house? It's a never-ending battle. There's always something to do. There's always something you should have done that you haven't gotten to yet.
Oh God, there's loads of them jobs.
Painting the clapboards on this house is one that comes to mind.
I wouldn't even know where to start. Just put a list on a dartboard and think. Ooh, not that one. Bink. Ooh, not that one either.
All right, man. How about let's move on? It's been 2 hours. Let's do a random recipe.
Yep. Come on, let's.
All right, what can we make? What can we make? What Sherlock Holmes have in store for us today?
Before we go on, did you know that you're in trouble?
No.
Hang on, there you go. When you mention...
That's because I need to finish recording the video for it, so I swiped it. It was actually between the end table and her recliner.
And then the last bit, you're going to get fed to the bears at the weekend, apparently.
Yeah, she was so excited because there's been reports of bears coming into our campsite up north. So, and she's a big fan of bears.
Is it brown bears up there? Did you get grizzlies?
No. Big grizzlies are too big. I'm not sure what kind of bear it is. I haven't seen any pictures of it.
Brown or black bears. I imagine
black bears
the more common. They don't run them.
Yeah, matter of fact, they sent out a notice on Facebook to all the members that have sites up there, telling them if you go and put something in the dumpster, and the dumpster's disturbed, like the lid's busted or something, let the owners know about it because they'll never chase that bear away if he always has food.
Yep. Are you just getting the kids the hiccups there, my friend? What a time.
Yep.
What a
Got me so worked up over all this stuff going on and the advocacy and everything else. So what's this?
Come on.
Let's flavors put something out. Cheers, big ears.
That's a random name.
12% of creaming soda and 6% of grape. Mixed berry is at 4%. Sherbet are 4%.
Super sweet.
And this is a cherry cola.
Wow. That's interesting.
I want to see if this actually turns into a cherry cola.
You're intrigued now, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Well, let's get
because
it on,
he actually sent me a long time ago when he first sent me packages of stuff. He sent me a recipe for making actual cola. And I first mixed it up, but I'm like, this is okay. It's kind of like a generic cola or whatever. And I just let it sit here after a while. Originally, I went through a bottle of it and made another one. And then I'm like, okay, I've kind of had my fill of this. So I set it off to the side. I came back to it 2 months later. And holy cow, did that settle into an actual cola like you would expect from Coke or Pepsi.
Really?
It wasn't, some generic cola that came from a fountain that just sat there and all the fizz is gone. It legit had that characteristic you would expect from a cola syrup. So I want to see if he can make a cherry cola without any cherry flavoring.
Well, speaking of that, of leaving juices to stand, remember when I said I made this honeydew custard? Remember when I said I made that?
Yeah.
And it tasted like cucumber?
Yes.
It's now a very sweet cucumber.
That's interesting.
You can actually get some. There's some sweetness coming through now. Before it was very. Well, I say cucumber. It's obviously the melon. Very in your face. But now there's more background notes of sweetness not coming through now, and I'm thinking, I'm on the fence. I don't know whether to love it or hate it. I'm sitting kind of in between. I don't like.
One of the reasons why flavors are so subjective is because everybody tastes things different, and some people are lacking certain taste buds, like the people that can't taste strawberry. There may be a single taste bud that your taste buds can't recognize, and maybe that's why it tastes like a cucumber for you.
It does. But with that sweetness coming through, it's taking that away a bit. You know what I mean? It's not as in your face. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on it. It's obviously, Diga is wrong. It's another cracking flavour because it says, exactly what it says on the tin. It's that flavour. But, I don't think it's a flavour that's up my alley, you know what I mean? But it's correct. That's all I can say. He's nailed it. But the reason I'm going backwards is because that sweetness is coming. It's just getting better. I don't know if that's the custard coming through. It's getting. So I'm going to leave it a bit longer and see what happens.
65-35.
Yeah. Very strange one. Oh, excuse me.
All right. Let's find out how good this is. We got creaming soda.
Guys are watching. Right now, guys are watching that stream when we've had a bit play about with the dooms. I'm happy to report mine's still going well.
Mine's cleaned and put away.
His is back on the shelf.
When I get some time, after I get caught up with everything else that's going on around here, I'm going to pull out the same doom that you have.
Yeah, get the original out. You'll have more success, I can guarantee it.
And William Dawson wants to know what you're thinking of the Kylan V3.
There it is on there, sir. That's it there. That is my Kylan V3. I'll get the name on. There you go. At the moment, well, I'm just about finished testing. I'm going to start sorting out review for it. But at this moment in time, without letting too many cats out of the bag, I like it. I like it.
How's it compared to the Arbiter?
It's close. Very close.
That's pretty impressive.
At the moment, out of the two, I'm picking the Kylan up more.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
That's what I'm picking up more. Don't get us wrong, I love the Arbiters, absolutely fantastic, but I still vape it. It's out there and there. I still vape it. In fact, I use the Arbiter for work, to be quite honest with you. But this, when I'm at home, this is the one I'm going to. Is the Kylan.
How's the airflow volume compared to the Arbiter 2?
It's pretty similar.
Is it looser?
A bit more. I'd say this is a bit more airy.
Really?
A bit more airy, yeah.
And to be better in flavor as well, that says a lot.
It's a bit more airy. It's still a restrictive draw, but it's not as restrictive as the Arbiter. I'd say it's got a little bit more airflow to it.
Now that makes me want to get one, because that was my downfall for the Arbiter 2, was the airflow restriction, or the amount of airflow that was lost in the V2 versus the V1 had me say, oh, I'll stick with my V1.
Yeah, but this is...
Now you're saying something that can put out the same flavor as a V2.
You can see there, it's got a lot. Look at the size of the air intake. It's big. It's huge compared to the Arbiter. It's massive.
Yeah.
It's just a much larger air intake, so it is a bit more area. It's still restricted. It's still a bit of restricted mouth to lung, but there's more mouth to lung, friggin' direct to lung. Sorry, but it's got more air than the Arbiter.
Wow.
Definitely. I think I've always kind of, I mean, to be honest, I'm probably a little bit biased in a sense, because I've always liked the Kylans. I've got the Kylan original, I've got the Kylan 2, the Kylan 3. Obviously not the mesh, because as you know, my experiences with mesh were freaking dire, so I never bought one. But I may invest in the Kylan M, because I've always liked them. But I've
had the Kylan before, and the Kylan M. Kylan M was a lot easier to wick than the Doom.
I think the thing with the Kylan, the original one, was a very unforgiving tank. If you didn't get the wicking right, yeah, you got dry hit hell or you got leaking hell. It was one of the, there was no in between. It was one or the other. This one is so easy to wick. It's just got nice big wick holes in it.
Juice wells.
Mint. Juice wells. It's mint. It's so easy to build on. Absolutely mint. But it's like I said, I'm saying with a lot of these new tanks now, it's just getting harder and harder to pick faults with them, because they're all that good. They're just minuscule things which is probably down to the user who doesn't like it. Not so much the performance of the device, but the actual user. The user might not like the drip tips, or they'll put their own on. It's just niggly things, but the general operation, purpose, and vape of the products now are that good. It's getting very, very hard to pick faults with them.
Mm-hmm. This flavor's grape, smells exactly like my Salty Man Purple Rain. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Solus only used a single ingredient to create their e-liquid.
Definitely agree with that. William Dobson, I'll just highlight that. It's seen as definitely due to the airflow under the coil, without a doubt. I've always said under coil airflow always works for me. It's fantastic. That's why I love this little Valhalla that I've got on here, the Valhalla Mini, because the airflow is directly under the coil, and I've always said that is the best way for an airflow to hit the coil. William Dobson said the Reload 26 RT is similar to the Arbiter 1 and 2 regarding the fan airflow design. That is a good tank, the Reload. I've been keeping an eye on them now, but they're still selling for about 50, 60 quid, you know. They're still up there in the high price range. They're really, really good RTA.
$60 here in the States.
Yeah, they're really good. I've heard so many good reports on them. Malgate, I'm just loving the times vape key with a dead rabbit on each mine, but small problem, I have a hot button after use on the copper polished brass one. Yeah, on some of the devices the buttons do get a bit warm. Especially if you chain it. It gets really hot. Anti-battery. Anti-battery. So I think what makes you, if you chain them, you get a hot battery and a hot button. It's like, oh. I think that's why I prefer an RDA on a mech, because the hit you get off it just lasts you a little while. You don't have to chain it. I've never really used it. I don't think I've ever put an RT on a mech as such, apart from maybe the Titan on the Hammer of God, but that's about it. That's a big tank, so
that's what I keep forgetting to pull out. We were talking about mesh last week, the week before.
Yeah.
I want to pull out my Titan again.
I'm struggling to find a deck for that, actually. Like, there's a lot of people sold out. There's loads of sold outs on that mesh deck.
They're still around.
Oh, they're still about, but I'm finding it a bit difficult to get a hand on one at the moment because everybody's sold out or selling out.
Well, worst case scenario, you have to order from China. You're in the same boat I am with trying to get these arcade monitors fixed. The power circuits and the voltage inverter, the chips are only available in China.
Really?
Now, there's 3 chips I need to replace on the board to make it work again. And there's one of those that I can get from all the different arcade shops that are out here. But they literally want $12 for a single chip, plus shipping. Well, for $12, I can get 10 of them sent to me from China.
Hang on a minute. Is it a dual mesh deck on the Titan, or is it just a single?
Yes, dual.
I'm looking at one now and it doesn't look like it's dual. Hang on, or is it dual? I could be wrong.
It's dual. They're side by side.
I'm just looking at the deck on
the
one.
Positive
now.
and negative are on the same side, and the other side is one long strip. So the electricity goes through the one mesh, comes across the screw that it's clamped to, and comes back to the same side the electricity came in on. Series mesh.
This one looks like a... You can get a mesh deck for the aromizer as well. Oh, that's interesting. Now that's a bargain. You can get the mesh deck for the Steve Crave Aromizer Original Plus and Plus 2 for £13.49.
There's the deck right there.
Hang on a minute, give us a look, look. I'm just looking at the picture, give us a look. Where are you? Is that it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep, that's the one I'm looking at. Fuck it. Go for it. E-Cig 1. I've got it. No, I don't want a short fill. I just want the deck. I hate when they do that. Would you like a short fill? No. I mixed my own for fuck's sake. I don't need anything.
I've got no regrets since I've gotten into mixing. None.
Exactly. See what the shipping is. I can deal with that. Yeah.
Cheers, Big Ears. Interesting name for this.
Complete order.
Have you got your Devon cream yet?
No. It when I went to do it, it said it was out of stock on the other one, so I was looking. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh shit, hang on. Oh. Oh, hang on a minute, I'm missing something here, hang on.
Well, if the cola recipe is any indication of what this one is going to be like, I'm going to have to wait and give it some time before we actually try this Cheers Big Ears. So, I've appropriately labeled it. We'll take this, throw it on the shelf. And I think we should take a look at a previous recipe that we did so I can actually do a flavor testing. So what did we do last time? We did the unicorn frappe.
It was a frappe, you wanted a frappe.
Which is blue raspberry cotton candy, creme fraiche, marshmallow, raspberry, super sweet, sweet cream, sweet mango, and vanilla bean ice cream.
Ah, that's correct, yeah.
And there she is. We mixed this up last week. And if you remember, last week, we also had a problem where while I was mixing it, I accidentally put too much of the flavoring in. So I've got another recipe here where I did one and mixed it up as blue raspberry, error turned right. So I said, okay, since I overdid the blue raspberry cotton candy from Capella, well, how about I just take some more blue raspberry of a different variety from Flavor Revolution, throw 4% of that in there, a little bit of ethyl maltol, and there's our new recipe, error turned right.
Very good.
So, I've got that one right here. Anna's a blue raspberry is definitely ready for us to give it a try.
I like your style, my friend. I like your style.
And I got ready before the stream. While I was waiting for the presentations to start.
He's got everything ready. He's got everything wicked and ready to go. Oh, look at this fella of the day. Oh, my God.
One for the blue raspberry. Ooh. Wow, is that blue raspberry for sure.
Yeah, William Dobson's just commented there, I will need the series deck if I'm going to put it on the hog.
Oh, does that smell fantastic?
I don't know about running a mesh on the hog, like. Ooh, that's gonna be hot. Well, we're getting there then. Is this one a good one?
Is it the drop or is it the liquid? It definitely smells like blue raspberry, but I'm not getting any of the taste or flavor of it.
Yeah, William, that's what I've got. It's the Dual Series Mesh Deck. That's the one I've ordered. So I'm getting the right one. Hallelujah.
Nope.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Still not right.
So my question is, how much ethyl maltol is already in this cap? Perhaps I need to substitute out the cotton candy, the TPA cotton candy, with super sweet, or augment it with some super sweet. I'm not gonna let this go to waste. But I'm still lacking that classic blue raspberry flavor. It definitely smells like one, but you just don't get any of the taste of blue raspberry cotton candy. It isn't sweet enough, and the blue raspberry is just muted. Not even muted. I get the characteristics of it. It's just subdued. Definitely not like my Liquid Barn blue raspberry. I don't know. Not a good outcome.
Not happy with that one, eh?
No. So episode 2.18, error turned right, is not so much. It sounded good. It looked good. 10% flavoring should be more than enough. But on paper, you can question, does it have too much ethyl maltol to mute that flavor profile?
William Dobson suggested try adding 1% raspberry.
Unicorn frappe. Definitely sweet enough. Definitely got the right flavor profile.
Unicorn frappe. Raspberry, cotton, creme fraiche.
The marshmallow is prevalent on the knuckle test.
Sweet cream, sweet mango, vanilla bean ice cream.
Ooh, that smells good.
Pardon me.
Definitely getting a marshmallow characteristic to it. I'm definitely getting some fruits out of this, some raspberry. I don't see the mango at all.
Not in.
Then again, with the vanilla bean ice cream and the creme fraiche in here, it may still take some more time before all this reaches equilibrium and ripens.
Yeah, there's a lot of like steeping ingredients in there, like I would say.
It's nice, but it's not like, well, I'm definitely going to make a 120 ml bottle of this.
It's probably lacking in something.
And despite having 1.25% of super sweet in here, it isn't like sickeningly sweet like a bunch of the other stuff we've made in the past.
Yeah.
With only 0.5% of sweetness. I think maybe it's competing with the creams.
Could be. You've got cream fresh, you've got sweet cream, you've got vanilla bean ice cream. A lot of creams in
It's
there.
definitely going to have to sit for a while.
Definitely.
It's an intriguing flavor profile. The scent of it is fantastic. Now, if I could get the taste like the smell, be a winner. Be a banger. But it's not like our 3-banger custard where it smells and tastes exactly like a freaking bowl of custard. Intriguing, but too early to tell.
William Dobson says mango can smell like cat piss.
Yeah, I've mixed up some stuff before that gives you a distinct off note to it.
Off note. Where's that damn cat at? The dirty git. Well, you know, you can always add the list.
Well, I'm very glad that I used and wicked up those drops, because I was thinking about originally filling up my arbiter because I had the confidence level like, oh, this is going to be a fantastic recipe.
Yeah.
I got 2 better recipes here.
Ooh.
This is finished off my gingerbread and the banana marshmallow custard tart.
That's nice.
That's a fantastic.
That's
really and this
nice.
one, quite honestly, is ready now. I know for a fact that that's ready now. This one is going to get better over the next 2 months. And the longer I hold off on this, the better that this liquid will taste.
It is nice, and I've had that one. Really nice. The bananas, now I thought banana would be in your face, but no.
Nope. It is very subtle in the beginning. It disappears completely, and then it comes back and settles in when the custard and the marshmallow is fully ripened.
Oh, it's nice. I've had that. It's really nice. In fact, I might mix a bit more of that up.
So this is going to camp with me this weekend.
Oh, yeah, the gingerbread.
I'll finish this off. And I've made it so many times now that there's actually a crease in the bottle. It's that good.
Oh, but I take it you like it then.
Very much so.
Well, you know, I thought just there you go. There you go. There he goes again on about the custard again. It's just nowadays, Will, I've converted them. That's why I've converted them to custards. There you go.
I was never a fan of custards. I would vape them, unlike my wife. But I've had some custards that are so good that, you know, when I handed it to my wife secretly and didn't tell her what it was, she was like, that's interesting. What is it? I'm not like a fan of it, but that's all right. There's a custard. What? Who did that to me? Sorry.
Come on, tell the truth. You liked it. You liked it. Don't you dare say it. You know, of course you liked it.
But that goes to show you there's so many commercial e-liquids out there that are named like this freaking unicorn frappe. You have no idea what the flavor profile is of that when you actually vape it the first time. What the heck does a unicorn frappe taste like? There's no point of reference for anybody to know what the heck that would taste like.
I don't know what a unicorn tastes like. Then with a unicorn and a frappe. I've never had the privilege of eating a unicorn.
Residual, I get the whole idea of a frappe, but I have no idea what a unicorn's supposed to taste like. I know comparing it to other flavors that I love, that it could be an all-day vape, that's not anywhere near all-day vape eligible at this point.
You're definitely getting fed to the bears, you, like, on the weekend. You're definitely getting fed to the bears.
Whoops.
She's gonna hire you. She's gonna hire you in that dumpster with all the rubbish, mate. I was thinking more of a bear growl myself, like.
Needless to say, I found the soundboard again.
Oh, you found it.
E-cigarettes have this great potential for harm reduction and to keep people from smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, thank you, Stanton.
E-cigarettes are less toxic than cigarettes.
Wow, common sense.
I think it's fair to say that an e-cigarette user, puff for puff, is getting less carcinogens than a smoker.
Wow.
No shit, Sherlock. No shit.
Why are people using them? Well, the most common reason cited in surveys among adults is that they're a safer alternative to cigarettes.
Well, that's what the science shows.
There are some people who e-cigarettes help them quit. And just based on all the personal testimonials, I'm sure that's true.
Fantastic.
It is.
Let's keep on vaping like our lives depend on it, because they kind of do.
All right. Thanks, Grim.
There you go.
Much appreciate that. Pretty much summed up what we think of Stanton Glantz and the facts and science that we know to be true. Awesome.
Oh, la la la.
Somebody's in the doghouse if he's lucky. Listen, this camping trip has my daughter nowhere in sight, so it's just going to be her and I. I'll change your mind one way or the other.
Aye, give her a vape back. You be champion.
I need to convince her to let me buy the Kylan V3.
Yeah. Just say I told you to get it, and she'll yeah.
I might be moving to the UK. You have a spare bedroom?
Yeah. Yeah. Put you somewhere, but I kind of put that studio near where I haven't even got one myself. Holy moly. What are you talking about? Oh my dear.
Well. So I have my work cut out for me this weekend at camp.
Yep. Got your answer there in chat pretty much. I'm sure you can work your magic.
All right, let's see. What else? Try it on the Bushido. That's what I should do. I need to clean it. Putting on the shelf. It's got something else on it.
Bushido. What's that out there? Tank.
DovePo was the one that manufactured it. Bruce Pro Innovations, BP Mods, is who actually marketed it. And it's the flip-top dripper.
Ah, the dripper.
The Bushido V3 accurately represents whatever e-liquid you put on it. I don't care whether it's a fruit or a custard or anything.
Was it, you done a mod, didn't you? A squonk mod. Bushido squonk mod. I'm sure you made one of them.
Yeah, but I never got my hands on the actual squonk mod that BP Mods put out. Wives are like grenades. Remove the ring and boom. The house is gone.
Oops.
Mallory hit the nail on the head.
Big style.
Twice today.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Oh, well. This too shall pass.
See, I'm just looking at that one. I can see what you mean now. Yeah, the Bushido. Yeah, it looks quite nice, actually. That's the V3, that one I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm. You can check out my review for it. One of the first videos that actually made mainstream.
I can remember you getting that out the taste test once, and I was quite impressed with the flippy lid.
I loved it.
That's brilliant.
I still love it. I loved it so much that I bought, 3 different spools of BP Mods wire because, I mean, the coils that came with it are just that fantastic. I wanted to be able to reproduce those coils. So I got 30 feet of their wire. I can always, enjoy the Bushido. All right.
E-Cig Warehouse has got it in. It's $28.99 over here for that.
It's worth the 30 quid. Definitely.
Yeah.
For flavor testing especially.
Sold out. A lot of places sold out, like.
That blue raspberry is just lackluster. So lackluster, I'm not even gonna keep this. Is it going on the cleaning pile with all the other ones?
Disappointed. So you're very
all right.
disappointed with that one. What a shame.
Let's hit ourselves for a retro vape and a quick run to the boys' room.
Yeah.
I really need to get ourselves a longer bumper so we can get these brakes set up.
Tell you where it is, it's quite hard to find one of them at the moment.
They came out a while ago.
Oh yeah, a lot of them I'm looking at are sold out, most of them. Doesn't look like they've done a restock, which is a shame.
So this Silver Play, there's no like big brand. Silver Play is a trademark for this RTA, but there's no brand as far as who actually manufactured this device.
Ah.
It just says made in China. So we have a Silver Play RTA, an accessory bag, a glass tube, a drip tip, user manual, and an airflow shield. Made in China, designed in California. Interesting.
Designed in California.
Well,
oh, definitely have to have a look over some of that stuff. The Wasp Nano, yeah, I had one of them. Whatever happened to my Nano? I used to have one of them. What's nano? Can't remember where the hell I put it.
That was another one that I never got my hands on.
Good RDA, absolutely brilliant. Flavor was awesome on them.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that airflow control.
Got lots of little.
The only problem with these is you have to pick the airflow before you actually build and set everything up.
Yeah, you got to put it in before you put the coil in, haven't you?
So,
I like the looks of them.
I'm not a big mouth to lung person. So I would definitely want something that's going to have the most amount of airflow.
I'd be tempted to go with the slotted ones. They're like got the biggest holes. That one on your
Yeah,
right.
7 holes versus 3 slots.
Yeah.
All right. I like this drip tip.
Oh, it's that bloody horrible yellow shit in it. I'm not a fan of that material.
It's Altum, yeah.
Altum.
But I like the shape of this one.
Shape's nice, but I've never really been a fan of it. I don't know why. I mean, it does its job. It serves its purpose, but I just don't know why. Maybe it's because of the look of it. I think it just looks like it's dirty. Look now, like
yeah,
you've had like a
I see where you're coming from there.
You know, like
and then
when
here's
you've
the
had a
drip
clear
tip that
glass
actually
one,
comes with it.
You've vaped it. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, I like that one.
Definitely adds to the aesthetic of the tank.
Yeah. Oldham just reminds me of like a vape. Like you vaped and vaped and vaped and vaped and vaped, and it just got dirty, and that's what it turned out like, Oldham.
Silverplay RTA
stains.
SP2222.
So it doesn't give you an actual manufacturer, just a model. I wonder. Silverplay RTA, I'll have a quick gander for you. See if there's any.
There's the airflow.
Yeah.
You can see through there to where the 510 pin comes through.
RTA, let's have a look.
Airflow comes in on one side only. Whistly. Ooh, look at that.
Well, according to the internet, the original Silverplay RTA was by Project Sub-Ohm, if that rings any bells.
Never heard of them.
Nah.
Quarter turn top cap.
So who then? Project Sub-Ohm.
I love the threads on this. They're not too tight. Interesting design.
They are a thing, like, because they've done Squonk mods, they've done the Silverplay RTA V2, they've done the source code tank, they've done the Swirlfish RDA, they've done the CLT V3 Mini RDA, they've done a Mutation X. Oh, there must be a company of some sort that's producing vape products.
It's like a little mystery here, trying to figure out, you know, who. There's the spare bag of stuff. O-rings. Another little tiny screwdriver to add to the collection. And then there's a spare glass and then the Ultim tip.
The infamous blue screwdriver. How many of them have you got? Maybe a drawer full of them.
They're all in the original boxes. I never pulled them out because I've got decent screwdrivers. I don't need their little
shit things. They are shit. Like.
This is the one that came in one of them kits.
Oh yeah, the old what's it called?
I'm quite happy with that one, and obviously I've got mini screwdriver sets for computers I've been working on, but fortunately I haven't had a need to do any of that. There's the breakdown.
I think the Phillips ones kind of wear out a bit, but the flatheads are alright.
Yeah. So the juice shield looks like it does come off of this.
It's got to on it, so you get a build in it. If it doesn't, it's going to be very fiddly to build on. Screw down, perhaps? No? Yeah. Ah. Oh, hang on. There's another one underneath. What the hell?
What the heck?
That's odd.
That is very odd.
Unless that's where you get your screwdriver in. You turn that, and that notch does that line up with the screws when it's open? Do you get your screwdriver in there? No? No. Or is it where you put your coily tool? You know, you slide, you put your coily tool and drop it in?
Adjustable juice cap is what this is.
Ah, it's a juice cap. Got you.
And then you have the juice shield, which is underneath it, which should also theoretically come out.
There you go.
Press fit.
Now you can build.
Now it makes it easier to build and easier to replace that. Yes, awesome. That just pushes down.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Interesting. That's going to make it a lot easier to build on now.
Yeah. Then you've got that hole in the bottom there to drop your airflow deck in. I'll take it.
Yep. Screw in the air cap. I didn't see any threads on there. Were there any threads on this?
Could be.
Sure are.
Yeah, they are. That's going to be fiddly, isn't it?
Well, with the slots, it's actually pretty easy.
That's what I'm saying. What would like the other ones would be very. You must have to have fingers 3mm wide. How the fuck would you screw them ones in then? Holy shit.
Well, you could take a paper clip and create a U shape and put it in like a spanner.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about this is well, let's get a coil in here and find out what it's like.
Yeah, it's intriguing.
Use the one we made last week, I believe. That should fit in there pretty nice. Okay.
Yeah, it looks good. I'd have bend the leg over next to be opposite legs, wouldn't I?
2.5.
That's the boy. That looks pretty good. We can get her clamped down. I've never been a fan of them kind of systems, like for clamping the coil down. I mean,
is there even a lip to retain that? On the other side.
Or just maybe it's opposite way around, is it? Ah.
Take a closer look at that again. Is there a lip? No lip. No real lip there either.
There's not even like a shoulder for you to sit it in, is there? Mallory Gates, Keeney, you use your tweezers. I don't understand that one, but holy moly. Tweezers, I don't understand that one, but never mind. Oh dear.
Use your tweezers to hold it in underneath the screw, but the problem is, I don't know how flat the underside of this.
Oh, you'll get a bite on it. And
Well, the thing is, when you get a decent bite, it wants to pop out.
yeah, it's that's the only thing with them because they'll kick it out, won't it? That's so weird. It's a bit finicky, doesn't it?
Yeah, because when you tighten this edge up, it just snaps that coil out. There's nothing preventing.
William Dobson's just suggested wrapping it round the screw if you had a long enough leg.
I started to. Like you would an electrical connection.
That's right, yeah.
Looking for an outlet. Look at how to deform that coil.
Whoa.
When it finally did
Boing.
grab it.
Yeah, boing. I'm not a fan of that. Like I say, I'm not a fan of them clamps. It's like a bit finicky on the. It either gets a hold or, like I say, it kicks it out, spits it out. You're like, bastard.
Make sure it's curled around.
In the direction you tighten it as well, so it pulls it in.
Yeah.
Oh, fiddly, fidgety thing, isn't it?
And you wonder why disposables are so popular. From mouth to lung.
Well, you can definitely rest your case on that one, can't you? For fuck's sake! Like I say, a lot of people will probably pick them up as well. Like I say, because of the hands, especially older generation, they might have arthritis or something, so they might be very dexterous. You know what I mean? So we've definitely got a place.
Some of these older ones are so crazy. You have to be a contortionist to try and. And all they would have had to have done is put a little lip on there.
Well, I think they've done it on the later ones, but obviously on the earlier ones it didn't happen, did it? Well, according to the date, that silver plate RTA was around 2018. That's what you're looking at.
5-year-old.
Yeah.
And you see the way that the bottom of that screw is rounded?
Yeah.
You're going to push that coil out. There is no flat spot for it to actually get a hold of it.
Yeah. I think you literally had to fucking nick it, because I think if you crank it down, you'll probably just push it, like you say, you'll push it out. Which is a bit of a bugger, but it does look a bit it's looking very finicky, my friend. Yeah, William, that the Newcastle supporters aren't doing too bad though. The top end of the league this season. Richest club in the land, technically, won by Arabs. So yeah, things can only get better, my friend. Yeah, you're right, but I do agree. You're right. I'm blind as a bat now. I think I need another eye.
His internet's cutting out. All right, gonna make a different coil for this.
That's very odd. Them were the days, eh? Yeah, maybe like you said, William said maybe try and create a loop on the end of the leg, so you can just loop it round.
Yeah.
See what we had to do back in the day, man, people, honestly. The things we had to do.
And that is just not coming out right. Look at that. That looks disgusting.
What the hell up there? If only disposables were out in 2018.
Hold on.
Oh, have you not got the windy tool with that coily thing?
Yeah, I'm trying to do 2.5 millimeters though, and then that big windy tool's only 3.
Ah, that's right, aye.
Like I said, mouth to lung isn't something that I normally do.
I very rarely use it, to be honest with you. Like I say, it's very rarely I use mouth to lung now. I mean, I don't really make or vape liquids designed for mouth to lungs. You know what I mean? I'm more of like a max VG man. So, I mean, I've got the Berserker mouth to lung. That was all right. That's old school as well now. I've got another one. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. God damn, that's so good. Yeah, so next week, with a bit of luck, I could be vaping on the Titan dual mesh. Ooh. You're right there, William. All the sophisticated coil tools, but still need the old school method. So true, mate. So bloody true. Sounds like you're having a good old rake about in there, matey.
Yeah, I'm trying to find mouth to lung coils. I'll keep coming across as some big honking frame staple clapboard.
Well, you know, there's always a first for everything, isn't there? What the fuck? Excuse me, folks. Ah, no, I'm sorry. I must have a phone. Ooh, that's a thought. Little blue screwdrivers good for MTL coil jig.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I never thought of using one of them. I'm just a man of leisure and I just get stuff that's pre-built or pre-made.
I had some here, but
it's a pity we didn't have virtual internet because I could have passed you a few hours. I've got some pre-made ones somewhere. We just stuck them through the screen for you.
I knew I'd find them.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Coilology.
Ah.
Man, the old school vapors had to work for it.
Oh, we did.
All right, so first thing I need to do is get the coil in there, raise the screws,
wish I carry high whenever we're apart. It takes me through the night when I look deep into your eyes. When I look deep into your eyes.
When's the last time you had to take a set of coils and create loops on the end?
Oh God. Holy shit. I can't even remember.
Is that even a thing?
Kind of. I mean, where was it? God.
And it's backwards. Now.
Oh my God. Well, if it's any consolation, Jay Hayes said top 3 worst tanks of all time.
Oh!
Shit. And yet Grim Green said I'm in love. So there you go, 2 big reviewers with contrasting views.
Well, if you can get it in there, I could see how somebody might like it. But if you can't get this coil to stay underneath that leg,
you're struggling.
Like I can't keep it on camera.
I've just been watching somebody do a review and it's definitely a wrap around the screw to get it on. Yeah, definitely. You've definitely got to have longish legs, wrap it around the screw, and then it'll clamp it down. Like you say, make the loop. That's definitely the way it's... Everybody else is kind of doing it.
Like I said, the old school boys had to really want this.
It's like I say, it's a secret, like I say, is that if you screw it down, you've got the risk of screwing it down too tight and it popping out. That's the only snag with it. There you go, man. You've got it. Just tie it out of the center. Drop it down nice and low with that airflow and you're fucking happy days.
Well, I don't want to touch the airflow. It's already low.
Oh, hell. It is low, isn't it? Bring it up a bit. That doesn't look too bad. I'll go with that. That doesn't look too bad. Central. That doesn't look too bad at all, my friend. Bang over the top of the airflow. It's in the middle.
0.47.
Might pop down a bit when you born it in. When you born it in. Just an additional note, I love my little deck like that. Me little the VP mods little buildy deck is absolutely awesome. Keep it nice and low, matey. We're ganches are coming. Oh yeah, a bit more. That isn't too bad.
Still have a little one here.
Yeah, small bit in there.
There we go.
Well, hey, jobs are good. You got
Job
there in
done.
the end, my friend. You got there in the end.
0.23 is supposed to be the dual or single? Doesn't say.
William Thompson said when you were curling around, he said that was cheating. You got to do what you got to do, mate, haven't you?
Oh, just wait. We're not done yet.
And hello, Space Turtles coming cities late again. You know us, mate. We'll go on for a while, so, you know, you'll always catch us at some point.
You're late.
But welcome.
For what?
Exactly. You're late.
For what? Fair enough.
You gotta get that soundboard up again for me, because I would have had his life with that. I would have just kept repeating and repeating, repeating.
Yeah. Add a wrap. Ah, that's it. That's true. All right, so we checked it.
God, this is so good, this man. Oh. Well, all I can say is just thank you very much, sir, for reviving my interest in mesh coils, because this fucking doom is out of this world. Oh my god.
Now we get the joy.
Oh, can't wait for that Titan deck to come now. Oh.
If you want a saturated vape, wait till that Titan coil gets here.
I'll tell you what it is. If I get a fucking dry hit off that.
Nah, you shouldn't get any dry hit off of it.
You know me, my fear of it's still there in the back of your head, you know. Even though I've sussed that doom, it's still in the back of my head. Am I gonna get a hit? Am I gonna get a dry hit? Am I gonna get a dry hit?
Are you scared? I had multiple dry hits last week, and you wonder why it's on the shelf.
Well, there you go. I'll rest my case. That's why that was on the shelf so bloody long. I'll rest my case. Holy shit.
There you go.
What the fuck? Holy shit.
That's
I
not
used
bad.
Streamlabs. I used Streamlabs quite a while ago when I was doing my lives, right? And now they've got Streamlabs. They've got Streamlabs Talk Studio, where people can actually jump into your chat and talk. Wow. Whatever next is going to happen there. Oh shit.
It's not like there's an actual juice well for this to fit into.
Ah. Nowadays, I don't doubt that at all, sir. Space Turtle, try hit with a Titan and you look like Wile E. Coyote after an explosion. I bet now. God, I used to love that. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. I used to absolutely love that cartoon. Absolutely brilliant. With these Acme products. Remember that? The Acme products he used to buy to try and catch that. I'll tell you what it is. It was unbelievable the stuff he used to get, man. Acme. Here's an Acme box to catch a Roadrunner.
All right. So I can see how this top cap would create a seal there.
That's looking pretty good.
Use this Mango Extreme.
So is that juice cap like an adjustable juice flow, yeah?
Yeah.
Wide open. Just how it wide open. I love that. Wile E. Coyote have an explosion. It's like Wacky Races as well. You ever see Wacky Races? Dick Dastardly and Muttley.
Uh-uh.
Oh, that was a classic cartoon, that. Dick Dastardly and Muttley were the baddies. And you've done a spin-off.
Well...
Okay.
Are we going to flood this tank? Or...
No way to find out. It is a weird looking thing, like, but you know, say if you put the work into it, I reckon it's still a good vape. Well, it's like you said, in the old school, you had to work for your vape at the time. Like you had to put a lot of work into it.
Fortunately, it has a quarter-turn top cap.
What did you know about that?
This thing says 0.14.
0.14?
That doesn't sound right.
For an MTL. That's wrong.
No coil detected.
Oh, shit.
There we go. This is 0.14. Oh, 0.475. There we go.
0.47.
Let's see. 25 watts to start, maybe? 30? Go to 3.2 volts.
My little friendly calculator is saying a cool vape at 27.6 watts. Middle of the road is 32.6. And warm is you're looking at 37.5.
Well, the tank's not flooded. A little whistly. Direct to lung.
There's no airflow control on it.
Yeah, your airflow control is that insert that you put in.
Ah.
Oh, no, you can adjust it.
Oh, you can do it from the bottom, yeah? Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
You need to, because wide open, there's no flavor. And this Mango Extreme has plenty of flavor.
Yeah. Camera up this for a mouse. It is the
24 watts. 27.
Space Turtle density tank. It's a silver plate tank, Space Turtle. It was out in 2018. MTL. There you go.
Or restricted direct lung. I'm just not getting much flavor out of it. Even reducing the airflow down. Holy crap, did I have to reduce that down? If you reduce this down to make it a mouth to lung,
Getting the flavor, yeah.
I got flavor.
Yeah.
I've had way better.
Yeah. So. It's got to be a thumbs down.
I'm trying to put into perspective the fact that this is 2018. So it's 5 years old.
Yeah, it's old technology.
And I didn't put a simple coil in here. I mean, Fuse Clapton, it should be pretty decent. Coilology didn't make...
I suppose back in the day, might be using round wire instead of a...
With round wire, I bet this has no flavor.
None at all. Really? Wow.
I mean, I can't say for sure without actually trying it. I've got plenty of round wire here. I could, try and swap this out. But Fuse Clapton wire should be way better than just regular round wire.
Oh, totally
it makes
agree.
plenty of vape.
Just lackluster in flavor.
But even this Mango Extreme, just kind of lackluster. I get the mango. Oh, that's right. I cut back the sweetness on this one. Just a mango. It's not the beautiful vape I got when I put it in here.
Yeah. Nowhere near that, yeah?
Nowhere near the flavor you get out of that.
Again, in 2018, that might have been good. Compared to what we've got
Listen,
now.
I've had the Aspire, the survival kit that they put out.
Yeah.
And that put out flavor that's pretty close to this.
shame. Look, see, I think some tanks back in the day, a lot of people thought were like over-engineered, if you know what I mean, like too much going on in them.
Yeah, but this would have been simple to make compared to the modern tanks. The modern tanks are all CNC machined out and
definitely
pressed and. The occasional crackle and the occasional spit back that you get has plenty of flavor. But I keep coming back to the same question I ask every single retro vape that I try out is, would I have been able to quit smoking with this?
Probably not.
You also have to look and consider that back in 2018, the flavor percentages were cranked to the ceiling on everything that was sold. Yes, it is definitely better than that ceramic sheet that we did, the PCR or NCR.
Anything was better.
It definitely has more flavor than that. But this juice that is a fantastic juice in a modern tank, this Mango Extreme, you get a little bit of tartness, you get the mango, you get like this citrusy bite to it, you get a bunch of sweetness to it. I'm missing that whole tartness from this.
I mean, I'm clutched at straws here, but with it being a mouth to lung, would a, I don't know, a 50-50 juice work better in it?
Definitely, because the PG carries the flavor for you. The VG makes your clouds.
Yeah.
Formulating a 50-50 juice to put in here would definitely help the situation.
Yeah.
In which case, if I was reviewing this thing back in 2018 when this thing came out, it wouldn't be something that I would recommend for everyone. But considering what the tanks were like back in the day and the lackluster flavor you got, this was probably up there where it would have been classified as a decent vape. It's not a fantastic one. It's not like when I got the Arbiter and I wicked this one and I'm like, I want to tell everybody about this one. This is the best one ever.
Yeah. But it just goes to show how far the technology has come on, you know what I mean? The airflows and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, mesh coils obviously as well, you know, the whole lot has just massively come on in leaps and bounds, hasn't it?
It's a monolithic flavor profile vaped in this. Now, granted, in this liquid, I did cut the sweetener back from 1.2 to 0.8. So I can't knock it for not having sweetness because I didn't want the sweetness I was originally getting when I vaped it in this.
Yeah.
But the flavor profile is so singular. It is literally just the essence of mango that you taste that I have to knock it if I'm trying to, you know, convey what it's going to perform like for the average person. Certainly compared with that Smowant device that we looked at last week, this is way better flavor-wise. But it should be because it's a mesh tank, mesh coil in here.
You are using the filter, yeah.
Much less vapor production than what this gives you. But the flavor on this is leaps and bounds, orders of magnitude more than what you're getting out of the silver play.
Yeah.
It's a novelty. It's part of the history of vaping. But I wouldn't recommend you guys going out and buying one if you can find it or see it on clearance for $5. I guess if it was $5, you know, it's worth your time to piss around with it for a weekend and then try it yourself. But I wouldn't actively seek this.
No.
Yeah, we've had plenty of ones where we've gone and done a retro vape and you saw it and you got so excited over it, you went and ordered it.
Yeah.
This is not one of them.
I mean, I've still got, right? And I mean, I had two. I had the Aromamizer V1, the very first Aromamizer steam came from out. And that, for its time, was amazing because obviously Steam Crave, pretty much invented the RTDA. You know, that was their design and everybody else copied it. And the flavour of that was still amazing for when it came out. It was really, really good.
My question is, what would the flavor be like if I would have used one of these other inserts?
That's a possibility.
I definitely think that this one with the holes in it, the big holes, would give you better flavor than these slots in here. Especially because the slots don't line up with the coil. When you tighten that down in there, your slots are like this and the coil
I noticed
like
they
an
were like diagonal, weren't they, across the coil? Maybe that could be a bit of a flaw with the design. Maybe it's like I say, when you tighten it, it should be straight across rather than diagonal. It could be a flaw.
It didn't start the threads at the right angle.
Yeah.
But there's really no control. When you automate a line and you just have that thing spinning, when it hits, that's when it hits, and that's when it starts the thread. So from one tank to the next, you're going to have inconsistent results when you don't have, you know, airflow designs like this. This type of airflow design is going to be more accommodating to the fact you don't have a consistent, a more consistent output.
Yeah. I see maybe that one with the big circles, but you might get better results. But you might not. You don't know.
And for the mouth to lung, obviously the smaller hole ones would give you a much better performing vape because it would limit you a lot more to a mouth to lung capacity.
Yeah. Definitely. That's probably maybe the way to go. The opposite way, go in tight, see how you like it, and then go from then.
Mouth to lung definitely tastes better than direct to lung. Direct to lung just gives you too much airflow.
Yeah.
Mouth to lung is definitely more concentrated. Now compared to the Nautilus was a pinnacle for a reason. I know that this would give me more flavor. I don't need to build it.
Really wipe the flawless.
And that's why. Look at that chamber for the coil.
That's what they nailed. The coils were mint. Absolutely brilliant.
And if I put a modern Nautilus coil in it that's mesh, it would be as good as the Smont.
If not better.
Hey Bastard, hello and welcome. Space Turtle, hello and welcome.
Oh, Space Turtle's been in a while, mate. He's been in a while.
Yeah, I missed it.
I've just said it all in there before. Why the fuck is that still running? Get out of that. I Oh, there's an issue there. Log over that.
Well, now that OBS is working properly, next week I will work on trying to get you control back. Remote control of OBS.
Woohoo! Get up, you! Why be Discord?
It was nice sitting here using organic Muji cotton to make the wicking for that.
Oh, the good
That actually went pretty well.
Tremendous, man.
There's nothing wrong with Muji cotton. Muji sheets, Muji pads. It does its job.
Yeah, the bastard said, you know, the little naughty had better flavour. Yeah, everybody went with the Nautiluses. You know, like I said, they've got a proven track record. Good bloody coils. They're still going today, so that stands for itself, you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, Silver Play is going to end up back in the box.
Oops.
I didn't really expect it to beat out the Nautilus.
Nah. Not charged.
And to be honest, if I bought this back in 2018 because of the fear that they were going to take vaping away from me, and I was able to quit smoking because of it, I wouldn't regret the decision to buy this. By modern standards, yes. Back in 2018, I'd been content with it, and I would have kept using it.
Oh my god.
I still can't get over the fact that in a mouth to lung you get more flavor than a restricted direct lung. Just by changing the way you're moving air across that coil.
Well, funny you should mention that. I've got the Zelos kit there with a Nautilus coil in, and oh my god, that's so good. And then this, I've got one of Hunky Cape's favorite. I've got the Candy Cane, sir. One of your
yes,
all-time favorites, and in this, it's hitting the mark.
A bastard brings up a good point. Muji cotton takes a little tank to break in before it lets you experience the full flavor potential.
Yeah, he's kind of right there. Some tanks you've got to go through, maybe it's a tank full of juice for it to break in.
So maybe I shouldn't give up on this so quickly.
Even if you just like put it down, give it 5-10 minutes to soak, you never know.
I'm not getting any dry hits. It's a fully saturated tank. It's not flooding the tank, so it's wicked the way it was originally designed. Yeah, it's okay.
Things can only get better, as they say.
Kind of surprises me that Jay Hayes rated that the worst tank of the year. One of the top 4 worst tanks of the year.
His top, it was in his top 3, I believe it was.
Because of the way that the screws that they supplied pushes your coil out, oh, that's a major ding. Making it a pain in the butt to get a coil in there. And that would have been so easy for them to fix. Picking a better quality screw that's got a completely flat bottom surface to it instead of a rounded bottom would made a world of difference to be able to throw coils in.
I think that was just around at the time, though, wasn't it? I mean, now with modern day mouth to lungs, you've got a flat spot to put your way, your leg in. You know, something that's probably
If I matched the
Developed
thread
over
that's
the
on
years.
there and pulled out my bag of laptop or my case of laptop screws, I bet it would be way easier to throw that coil in there, and I wouldn't have to wrap the legs around it to get it to stay.
Oh, no doubt. It's because the screws rounded at the bottom, innit? That doesn't help. It needs to be flat.
Yeah, it rounds down to the actual threads.
Yeah.
Whereas I've got screws that are literally the threads. It looks like there was a lathe that cut a square into where the threads meet the cap.
It's like literally a 90-degree edge on it, isn't it?
It's not rounded out.
I forgot how good this bloody thing was. Jesus Christ, I'm quite impressed with this. Love this kit, like it's a cracking little kit.
Yeah, I've got the Zello sitting here and it's on the table behind all that little turntable that we use. And I still pick it up every once in a while and toot on it because the flavor is that good on them.
Nautilus 3. I think that's the latest version, isn't it? Nautilus 3. That's the latest version they brought out, but 5. Yeah, man. So good.
Well, it turned out to be pretty good today.
Yep.
We got into advocacy. We got to listen to Clive Bates for a little while.
Oh, we've done well
We did
today,
our
matey.
retro vape.
Excuse me. We've done bloody well today, matey. I tell you, we've crammed quite a bit in the day. Yeah, you can tell the difference. Like, oof. I'm loving this Doom, by the way. You've enlightened me again, matey. I tell you. Wow. Holy shit.
I really got to dig out the original Doom and wick it like that.
Do that. Put your favorite e-liquid in. You'll be in fucking heaven, mate. I'm telling you. Wow.
I know it's possible because the Kylan M, I loved it for the same reason. It's election day. Can you tell?
I can't wait for that Titan to come now. Would have well been to that. You'll not be able to see me next week if it comes before next week because it'll just be clouds or us. That smoke alarm began doing overtime.
I'm definitely going to have to pull out mine. Give this thing a try again. And I'm kind of surprised how long that wicking lasted in that mesh in the Titan. I plowed through 250 mils of e-liquid before it went to the point where it was like, okay, I definitely need to re-wick this.
I mean, we see the method in this was about 2 to 3 days, but I've been getting a bit more. It depends on your vaping habits, you know what I mean? You chain it, then it's not going to last long. But if you just plod on with it, I reckon you can get a good week out of it. Easy. That's the, I mean, vaped it last week when we were live. I kept vaping it after we were live. I vaped it the next day. And I vaped it the next day. I missed a day. I had a couple of chups the next day. I've had a couple of chups on every day since then. I'm still on the same build as last week. So, you know what I mean?
It's like this Vandy Vape Matto. Fantastic. Wire ropes do work fantastic for wicking.
I need to try one of them tanks with ropes in. Like, I mean, I've heard like a lot of good stuff about them.
It's not like the traditional ones where you have to pull, like that Aspire one I was talking about, the 4-in-1 survival kit. You had to drop your wicks through those holes and have them hanging in the liquid for it to work.
Yeah.
And then when you vape it, you saturate your wicks.
That's right, yeah.
This one, it doesn't matter. You could keep it vertical if you were one of those weirdos that...
like something through a straw.
It still wicks. It still works.
It's clever stuff. I would never have thought, like metal wire wicking. How the hell does that work? There you go.
But it's time to re-wick this one.
Oh, yes.
She's dirty.
They're not too bad. They're not too bad. The coil's a bit mingy, but the wick's not too bad.
Yeah, so I could dry burn the wicks off of this and throw some fresh cotton in it. It'd be good to go again for another month.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not my primary device. You know, I keep my arbiter by my side 24/7.
Well, we know that. We know your arbiter is always strapped to your side. Oop.
Like I said, I got 6 of them.
I'll tell you what it is. If you get your hands on that Kylan 3, you might have a bit of competition. You may have a bit of competition.
Might just motivate me to take some more service calls that I wouldn't normally take anymore.
Yeah, you just never know, man. Because I'm well impressed with it, to be quite honest with you. It's like I said, reviewing is getting more and more difficult with these modern devices because honestly, there's not a lot wrong with them. You're getting the point where you're very picky if you're going to pick something wrong. And I mean, it could be anything from a drip tip. Oh, well, then I'm like the drip tip. Whoopie-doo, you can put another one in. You know, it's minuscule. The stuff that you're picking up, that you can pick up on them. Because they're that good now. Everything modern day is that good. It really is. The only way I would say you could probably not like it is if you build it wrong. Or wick it wrong.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I can think you can have a negative response on it, because everything is that bloody good now. It's getting so hard to get any negatives off them. And I mean, you see it now across the board with all reviewers, you know, that this is good. What are not like? Very little.
They're not trying to be salesmen. They're literally telling you that everything that they test nowadays is fantastic. You know, this little Origin SE, I would have never thought in a million years that somebody could make something this small that I know for a fact I would have been able to quit smoking with.
Yeah. It's just so good. It's getting the point now is how far can they go? Can they get a rebuildable whatever, RDA, RTA, to say match the flavor of, I don't know, disposables, for example. Disposables have got damn good flavor. You can go tank that and replicate that. Fucking hell. Wow. It's just how far can they push it?
It's finally getting to the point where all the manufacturers can put out things that are 10 out of 10.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, in the early days, it was the wattage race. You know, who can get the highest wattage one that would vape, you know, high watts and still give you the flavor. And obviously, everybody got the wattage race sort of. Then to me, it kind of went to the airflow kind of race thing. And I think it's still kind of there now. Is the airflow, not so much the wattage. The wattage is done and dusted, isn't it? You know, you can get.
But that's because as an industry, the vape industry has literally done science in the background to make sure that when they actually engineer a new product, they can measure certain things and predict that this is what kind of airflow it's going to produce. This is what kind of surface area and velocities go past the coil. And they've done the science to know that if the velocity is below this point and above this point, it's going to give you the flavor you want.
Exactly. That's why it's getting so difficult. Because there's a lot more that goes into the design of them now than ever before.
Yeah, they're not just little, you know, throwing things together and go, okay, I got this idea. Let's design it so it's like this. And nobody bothers to go, well, wait a minute. If you do that, you're going to have way too much airflow and it's going to be a spongy vape. Nobody likes spongy vapes. Here's how you fix it. You cut it back here or you cut it back here. And now you're going to get yourself an output that's consistent with everything else that's out there.
Definitely. But like I said, it's getting so difficult to find negatives with all these modern tanks. Even you know, your mods, I mean, they do exactly what they say on the tin. What more do you want? Do you know what I mean?
Predict in 10 years, unless they completely prohibit these devices, cigarette combustion will be a thing in the history books. It'll be less than 5% anywhere that you can buy these devices.
I think we're going to end up going towards what we are now with disposables. I think it's going to go more that way. Less rebuildables, more closed systems, whatever. I think it's kind of because, yeah, they're popular at the moment. Yeah, it might be a phase, they might die. Think of the vape. I found with vaping, it swings and roundabouts. 1 year it'll be MTLs, next year it'll be RTAs, the year after that it'll be RDAs. You know, it swings round, doesn't it?
Space Turtle said he recently bought a Vandy Vape Swell mod for £29.
Wow.
And this is something that I really wish they wouldn't have clamped down on. If social media platforms wouldn't have gotten involved in this whole vaping sphere, imagine what it would have been like if the Bluetooth technology that they had in here and the apps you had in your mod would have been further developed and would have been available on all the new devices that came out there.
Yeah, there's that as well.
You could literally make the choice that, okay, I know that vaping worked for me to quit smoking. Now I want to taper down to 0 milligram. You could literally have the device calculate how much nicotine you're getting, and over the course of, let's say, 6 months, so that it's imperceptible to the end user, you could taper down to 0.
Probably could.
Your mod would tell you, okay, today I want you to, go from a 6 to a 5. And it would let you vape it more than it did yesterday because it knows that you're getting less nicotine. And in a matter of a couple days or a week, you'd get used to that 5, and then it would tell you to put it in a 4.
It'd be typical like these smartwatch technology. You know, you've got your smartwatch, you've got your app on your phone, it tells you how many steps you've done, how many blah blah. We'll incorporate that into vaping, which is probably just a matter of time anyway. You know what I mean?
No question about it.
Like I say, it's just how far can you take it, you know what I mean? Has it plateaued out? Has it not? You don't know.
That could literally be a feature of these devices. That if you continue to use the device, it could literally take you down to 0 milligrams and get you off of vaping altogether.
You've kind of been the counter object of the device, like, you know what I mean? They want you to buy the devices, but no, we're going to get you off it.
You would still need the device to keep you from getting back onto cigarettes. As long as cigarettes are still readily available and sold, there's people like you and me that are going to vape until we die.
Yeah.
Because we spent decades lighting up cigarettes and enjoying that. And so ingrained in our head, when we get stressed out, we've built the coping mechanism of using nicotine to combat that stress.
Yeah. We've kind of programmed ourselves to do it, haven't we? You know what I mean? It's in there now.
We've rewired our brain to be dependent on it. And if you take a look at the neuro benefits of using nicotine, as we get older, we have other reasons to use it besides our previous addiction.
Yeah, we're slowed down, don't we? We need a bit of...
We've slowed down, and we're using it now for cognitive improvement, and we're using it for all kinds of other benefits. I mean, there's science out there that says that you can literally delay Alzheimer's because you use a nicotine patch. Well, we're not using a patch, we're using it in a vaporized form, but we're still consuming it and going to get the same benefits out of it at the cost of whatever these flavorings may cause harm in the future. It's a win.
Of course it is. You know what I mean?
Hashtag out of our cold dead hand.
Yep. So true, sir. So true.
Be buried with my arbiter.
Make sure you do. You can't get committed with it, though. All I would see
Space
is...
Turtle wants to know if you can vape Viagra, asking for old people.
Oh, my God.
Listen, here's the problem, okay? Is Viagra going to need to be around in the future if we eliminate the source of the harm that causes you to need it in the first place? If this eliminates the circulatory harm that we got from smoking, just the way it does, ameliorate COPD symptoms, well, then the longer you vape, the less you need Viagra.
I tried one of them once, Got stuck in my throat now. I got a stiff neck.
What a little prick you are.
I couldn't resist.
Time to re-up your dose of Viagra.
like fucking E.T.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Mallory
God.
Gates says if she vapes Viagra, she'll have two other things jetting out of her.
Ooh. Too much info.
Which goes back to her original message, which is no longer on the screen here, about it being Taco Tuesday or Tea Ties Tuesday.
What's
Remember?
that?
It's Taco Tuesday or Tea Ties Tuesday.
Yeah. Tea Ties, yeah. Wow.
All right, since we ended up in the gutter, I think it's time to call it quits. We've been here going for 4 hours once again. Ladies and gentlemen, and my wish is always peace, love, and a hunky vape to end cigarette combustion. I'll see you guys next week.
I can't believe he's aged me 4 hours again. Wow. Again, all you guys in chat, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely, you guys make the show brilliant. I do Space Saturday. Aye. Oh. He's pressing buttons again, isn't he? Anyway. Again, thank you to everybody in chat. Absolute pleasure to have you in. Again, thanks to Alex for having me on here. And as you can see, he's tossy tatty titties. But anyway, again, people, as always, stay safe, vape safe, and we will see you same time, same place next week if I can absolutely manage to get back next week. You guys take care. Goodbye, all.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week again for a fresh round.
Yeah, I want your body too. Yeah, body too. And baby, please don't think I'll run away from you. It's just sometimes I get scared to dive into it. I want you lying next to me. Yeah, I want your body, your body too.